Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
My bad, y'all. I was just talking and I wasn't even on. I apologize about that. I was just talking and I wasn't even added to the stage. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. We have a special guest coming on with us shortly, our brother Kala Genesis. Um, and we need to get Kala to 1,000 subscribers. Okay, we need to get Kala to 1,000 subscribers. So before we end this stream, okay, I know Kala has his stream at 9 p.m. Kala got to be at 1,000 subscribers. He's about 40 away. So Kala, do me a favor, put your link in the back chat, in the private chat, so I can put it in the main chat, and everybody make sure you go subscribe to Kala Thanos, Kala Nation. All right, but hit that like button. Also, make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Couple of announcements. We are rolling to Cape Town. Again, we are rolling to Cape Town. That's gonna be. Hold on 1 second. Come on, y'all. What's going on? There we go. Bam. There we go. March 25th through April 2nd. March 25th through April 2nd. We are rolling to Cape Town. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Donfo.Africa. Again, if you're interested in joining us, please visit Donfo.Africa to learn more. Love to have y'all in Cape Town. Beautiful city. Beautiful skyline. Hikeable. Very hikeable. Love Cape Town. So please visit Donfo.Africa to learn more. Also, we're rolling to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival, Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival, Zanzibar in September, and then we're going to Ghana and South Africa Ghana and Ivory Coast in November. Then we're rolling to also after that, we're going to Sierra Leone. So please visit Donfo.Africa to learn more. Kala, do me a favor, put your link in the back chat. Without further, Kala, you got
do me a favor.
Kala, turn off the playback.
Oh, come on! I didn't know I was on.
Okay, you're on now.
Yeah. I put it in the. Did it pop up in the chat?
No, I didn't pop up.
Okay, I put it in from the live right.
Put it in the private chat.
How do I do it in a private chat? Hold up.
It should say private. There should be an option that says private chat on the.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Put it there.
Okay.
Then I could private chat on the.
Oh, yeah.
No, but Kyle, you got to turn off the playback.
Okay, turn that off. And private. Okay, I got to be on. Say hi, send. All right. They say hi, send. Okay. Why come my thing is not sending? Hold up. Okay, hold up. I don't know. I have to do it from hold on.
I found it. I found it.
Yeah.
I'll put it in. Here we go. Colin Nation. There we go. All right, guys, make sure you subscribe to Kala. Let's get him to 1,000 subscribers. But Kala, you left the chat, bro. Let's wait for Kala to come back. Kala, you left the. There we go. All right, go ahead, Kala. Kala.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to refresh my browser. Yeah, man, it's a good, interesting topic right there. You know, I've been asking for this for years. Like I said, that is the work we've been doing on this show, my show, and everything like that. We've completely changed the story and the narrative of Liberia.
All right.
Nobody else was doing this. You know, we came out 7. You introduced me to the world talking about Liberia. You know, and since that time wasn't easy. You know, we changed the narrative, right? Because we want to vindicate our ancestors. Because some of us talk about going to the continent to live, work, fellowship, whatever like that, even romance, right? They always use Liberia as a red herring, you know? Oh, look what they did. Right then now, was the truth is starting to come out, and we're saying, you know, what they did, our ancestors did in Liberia wasn't bad at all. You know, and now even people saying it was actually good because now you got the Liberians embracing that part. Look, the biggest celebration in Liberian history was the celebration of the 200-year anniversary of the settlers coming in 2022. Even Roly Poly Martin was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a bigger shut down the whole country. You know, celebration of the first. On Providence Island, the first African Americans returning. So it tells me, look, people should not underestimate us. We basically, Black America is like the vanguard, you know. So all these countries are competing for our attention and our favor, right? And Liberia feels that it has a special edge over other Black countries, right, in the diaspora, because this was a country that was placed where the largest number of returnees went and settled and rebuilt or something, you know? So therefore, that's what we're talking about tonight. It's like the narrative has been like, oh, our ancestors were enslaved, they were oppressive. President Tubman was a dictator, and blah, 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 blah. And then when you look at it, you say, well, how is that Tubman has a holiday and the man who liberated you do not have a holiday? I maybe we can get some Liberians in here to explain this to me, you know?
That's a good question.
Why do they still have the same seal? Why do you still have the same flag? You know? You can't get Liberians to change their flag. They love the Lone Star. Well, the Lone Stars were created by the returnees, the settlers. They don't care. They love it. You know? You can't tell them anything. Oh, hail Liberia, all hail. How come they haven't changed the national anthem? No, they want to keep nothing. They want to keep up. In other words, could we say now that Liberians just want to be included, and a lot of the thing was they didn't feel like they were Liberian enough, and they always wanted to be Liberians, you know? Now, look, this is Elvis. I knew Elvis Morris, right? Elvis Morris, you know, would be here. I knew Elvis would be here, you know? You know, I did knock 3 times. Elvis would be here, right? I knew he was like this. Because he made himself his birthday. Yo, Dice, am I missing something here? If he made himself birthday or president, right? He died, didn't he?
Yeah.
So why didn't they get rid of his birthday?
And why didn't Doe, like what Trump is doing? Why didn't Doe remove Tubman and put himself in place, or why didn't someone put Doe in place as far as
what I hear was Samuel Doe.
put a holiday
He
in place
loved,
to celebrate Doe, you know, because Doe could have easily removed it.
yeah. He was a dictator, you know. He had all the power. He could have removed all the monuments. He could have removed all the symbols, everything. He could have changed up, but he kept everything. In fact, Doe even became a Mason.
Hmm.
So what it was these were just young boys who wanted to be like the grown men running the country. You know, that's all it was. You know, that's why to this day, when they could talk all they want, the evidence is still there. You know. Why don't friggin' Liberians? Okay, he goes. Many Liberians don't think that way. What is he talking? What is this person talking about? What did I say? You understand what this person said? He
No,
says,
but
what am I lying about?
but Colin, as you go, I'll put the link in the chat like in 10, 15 minutes. But go ahead. Well, we'll let them call in. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah. So the bottom line is this. Bottom line is I'm not lying. I've been studying Liberia and also announcement that International Focus magazine, whose headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm trying to get Dynasty interview there. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I might get you in the Atlanta edition, you know, Dennis. Might get you in the Atlanta edition, you know.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
That'd be good. It's time for you, man. Time you blow up like that, you know.
Appreciate it.
The article. I'm going to be a contributing writer for the Monrovia edition, you know. So I'm gonna try to get you in the Atlanta edition, one of these issues before the end of the year. Your article will be there. You know, I think you did a lot of work in Africa and stuff like that. And we're trying to expand International Focus magazine to all the countries in Africa. You know, we're doing this thing while other people are talking for decades. We're doing this. This Pan-African life, we're living this life. You know, so yeah. So the thing is, as far as like Liberia is concerned and whatnot, it's very important that we get this story right. You know, we can't let fools because you're talking about our history too. You know, and we have a returning history, a Pan-African history, a Black nationalist history in Africa. You know, Cato, my numero cut the lies and misinformation. Okay, whatever. I can see I was gonna have a nice show when I can see it's gonna be a knockdown drag out, you know. And we'll spill over to my show later, you know. So what do we start, Dinus? What do we start? Like old days, right? Like
just go ahead. Just go ahead, Colin. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so the main thing is, look, I have a lot of Liberians who native Liberians background who agree with what I'm saying 100%. But the country has been so charged for the last 40 something years where a lot of people were bullied, almost intimidated. And a lot of times, you know something? You know how you were targeted when the war happened? If they thought you was one of those people who got along with the Congo people, they came and killed you. So people basically had to pretend like, oh yeah, the Congo people oppressed me and blah 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 blah, just to stay alive. Sad situation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy Cato don't even know what I'm talking about. He's already calling me a liar. He's a con man, you know. Con man. Those people are something else, you know. But the whole thing is, we have to learn not just Liberian history. We have to learn African American history. We have to know what happened in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, right? We have to know what happened in Rosewood. We have to know what happened in Wilmington, right? These are hidden things in Black history. This is what I thought the hidden colors was all about. Telling real fucking Black history, right? But we need to know about Liberia. You know, we need to know about Freetown. We need to know about George Washington Williams. Most people, when I say that, they don't know who that is. You know, we need to know about the African American settlements in South Africa. People don't know that history. That we had African Americans who built communities in South Africa around the same time they went to Liberia. You know, people don't know that history. We don't know our complete history. So if you don't know your complete history, how are you going to engage the world? there's a whole thing, Diane, that's going on. Black people were exploring the world, settling in different countries. You know, there was an African American community in Russia at the time of Lenin. Did you know that, Dennis?
No, I didn't know.
Okay, they went to Russia and was showing the Russians in the earlier how to farm. And some of them married Russian women. They're black. Oh, look it up, brown Russians or black Russians. They're there, right? People don't know that history. There are black people in Paris, the black Parisian culture. You go all over Paris, you'll see statues and monuments of buildings named after James Baldwin, Richard Wright, Langston Hughes, Josephine Baker. So we have a rich history. So, and also Paul Robeson, he sung the Volga Boatman in Russia. He was a hero in Russia. So if we had all that international goodwill and we were just basically globe-trotting everything, why did they make it seem like a Baptist preachers from Alabama just suddenly we were just sitting there, Negroes waiting to ride on the side of a white person on a bus by some Baptist Negro preacher in Alabama? And then also, I have a dream. So you would tell me we forgot about the great Garvey movement. We forgot about the building of Liberia, the building of Freetown, Sierra Leone, the building of the first airlines in Ethiopia, John Robinson. Do people know that history? The Tuskegee Airmen going to Ethiopia and someone even settling there. But everything is wrapped up. That history is told to us is we were nothing, and then Martin Luther King came along.
I'm not laughing, but
yeah, it's funny.
That's true. No, so the history I was taught growing up was we were slaves. Lincoln freed us, and then Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King came along one night, and we was able to ride in front of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sad, right? We have a rich history, right? And what we're doing is reclaiming all our history, and Liberia is part of our history. It's part of our history. When I go to Monrovia, it's like an extension of Black America,
Mm-hmm.
And this guy calls one of those delusional, fake, civilized people that don't know America and just using their property for white supremacy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Donnie, are you being used for white supremacy?
I mean, can they expand on that? Like, what? Okay, when you say college being used,
don't expect anything with the Liberian mind. Don't expect anything intelligent or anything like that. And this guy says Garvey was the biggest joke of yeah, I said Freetown. When I say Sierra Leone, I mean Freetown. That was our history, right? Now we could expand it to the Mende people, the was it Tema people, whatever, all these other people like that, Morris people. But the main event was Freetown. The Creoles, their civilization, for what people said, except for the fact they were governed by the British, right? Their culture was actually above the American Liberians. The Creoles who came from Nova Scotia, Europe, the Caribbean, stuff like that, and parts of Black America initially, right? They were actually, their culture, they were more educated, even in American Liberia. Because remember, Edward Wilmot Blyden ended up going there, and he taught at Foray Bay College. That was the first college in West Africa, Foray Bay College, and Freetown. Mm-hmm. If you get my book, Journey to the Promised Land, Edward Wilmot Blyden is a character I brought to life, In my book, Journey to the Promised Land on Amazon, you read a nice history about Liberia and Sierra Leone in the 19th century repatriation movement. It's a great read, great read, folks. So so back to the topic. Why is it Samuel Doe? These people in the chat room, they won't tell, and they'll be in the chat room taking shots at me and whatnot. I'm public enemy number one. This guy Kato said, "Give me a chance playing, and you'll know whether I'm intelligent or not." Dude,
yeah. So what I'll do, Carla, what I'll do in what 15 minutes? Put a link in the chat room. 15 minutes. Okay,
sounds good. And so what he's saying in the chat room doesn't even make any sense. It's going to be hard, K Do Glay, whatever your name is. It's going to be hard to come back after what you just wrote, man. You just got to take an L. You say You first of all, you come up here with Elvis, man. That's not a good look, bro. Not a good look, you know. And also, people don't seem to understand is all I want is to find young Liberians, right? I don't care what background you are. I don't care what tribe you are. I want them to love their country enough to participate and join us and saying this country is worth preserving and worth thing. But I don't see that. Dinas, they had the State of the Nation address today. I think it was today, yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know how sometimes you know some people so well they're predictable.
Yes.
Here comes the opposition. You know the usual suspects. When that Joe Buckeye didn't do it. Do they understand you're dealing with a poor country that have limited resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's not done it. Grown ass men who should be building shit, creating their own wealth and their own reality. So Buckeye hasn't done this. Buckeye haven't done this. Or not. What are you doing? They come up there and be like, oh, but at the same time, when George Weah was in office, price of rice quadrupled. They said nothing because Weah was their guy. So because Buckeye is cracking down on the country and getting this country in order, and let me tell you something, Dennis. I don't know if you was there, saw what I saw when you was there. I went to the public. The first time I went to Liberia, I went to the public health building to meet with the Secretary of Health, Vaughn Sherman's wife, right? She was a tall, light-skinned lady, right? Vaughn Sherman's wife. She was in America for like 30 years, and she was working for the Way administration. You know, and you was the one who got Janine Cooper the job at the agriculture. They rebuilt the agriculture in Liberia right now. You could credit that to Dinah Amir. Because Dinah Amir, they showed her on Dinah Amir's show, and they immediately said, we got to recruit this lady. You know, they didn't know who she was. They said, that's Madam Cooper. And she became the Secretary of Agriculture under the Way administration. She left on the Buckeye administration, but I don't know why. But she left to do something else. That was a direct result of the show she did with Dinah. You did 2 shows with her, didn't you?
It was one interview, but I chopped it up.
Okay, yeah. So the government saw that, and she was like asked to join the Way administration, right? And I introduced Dinah to her, Madam Cooper. So what I'm saying is this. I lost my train of thought for a second. You know, you have people in Liberia that instead of getting together with the people that could do something, the middle shakers, we're all basically talking about what can't be done. What can't be done. So the positive people, Liberian people, there's a lot of good Liberians out there. But basically, the people who always want to rabble rouse and cause troubles, they're the loudest voice. That's unfortunate. But the bottom line is this: these people are going to lose because as more of us come there and get involved in Liberia, and once our numbers get up a little bit and whatnot, you know, they're not going to do that. Because one thing they're noticing, right, the direction is that unity, Pan-Africanism, nationalism, and pride in being Liberian is winning out the day. That's what people are buying into. The divisive stuff of the past is dying. Something like this, you know. Yeah, she's a miracle Liberian. Her pictures from the days. I had to tell her, you were fucking beautiful. She was beautiful back in the days, you know. Somebody say somebody said Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism simply means black unity for idiots, you know. In other words, basically, you know, when I'm in Liberia, right? You know how you think, okay, there's gonna be. I don't feel no difference when I'm around different black people, even if they can't speak English. And there's something about race that unifies people. You know, I'm dead serious. That's why it's so disheartening when people talk that tribalism stuff. To black people in America, we don't see tribe; we just see race. You know, so I'm comfortable around anybody who's black, and that's why I feel when I'm in Liberia, I feel like I'm around my own people, even though I'm Black American, African American, and these people are born on a continent. I just feel a kinship with them just based on race. You You know, somebody said Pan Africa is done for good. Oh, the Rock guy. Thanks, man. You got all the usual suspects with you.
Guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please call in and add to the conversation. Also, make sure if you're not subscribed to College Genesis YouTube channel, he's let's see here. Let me refresh it. Kala is 32 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. So, guys, please go and subscribe to Kala Genesis. If you have not subscribed, please go and subscribe. You know, by the time we end this stream, we want to make sure Kala is at 1,000 subscribers. But links in the chat room. If you want to call in and challenge the Kala, go ahead and call in. Links in the chat.
Now, this guy called me a Caribbean tether. Dinas, I don't know much, but right. But I do remember I was born in Jamaica, Queens, right? My mother was born in Harlem. My father was born in North Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. For hundreds of years, right? My ancestors came here in the 1600s on a Dutch or Portuguese slave ship in the 1620s, right? To North Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia. That's where my ancestors hail from. So when people tell me that I'm half tether and what the fuck is that all about? You know, guys, let me ask you a question before we get started, right?
Go ahead.
What do you think about Delroy Lindo?
The actor.
You accept him as a Black American after all that. Yo, Delroy Lindo goes way back. He came to America, right? He ain't like a lot of these Black immigrants, right? He came here, immersed himself in the culture, and became one of us. You know? That's the difference between me and everybody else. Somebody like Tariq Nasheed will hold it against you if one of your grandparents was from Haiti, whatever like that. I'm like, he became one of us. He says first job was Spike Lee. He started in Crooklyn. He basically embodies Black American culture. He was West Indian Archie and Malcolm X. He was Aaliyah's dad in Romeo Must Die. Delroy Lindo. All right. So we don't think. Do you think of him as a British actor, or you think him as one of us?
I didn't. I thought he was Black American the whole time.
As far as you're concerned, he is. But hey, but don't be surprised if he wins the Oscar. Here's gonna come these FBA Tariq. He's a tether. Taking it. Yo, Delroy. If somebody says to me, I'm smacking head. Delroy Lindo has been in Black America, representing us and representing the best of Black America. One of the best actors we ever seen. And we're proud to have him. I would rather have Delroy Lindo than half these Negroes who call themselves FBA.
Okay. All right, Mike. All right, Kala. Let's Africa. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dinas and everyone else. Howdy, buddy, brother.
Oh, the body fine.
Okay, nice one. Yeah, Kala, I was listening to you. It's quite interesting. What you're saying. You made a lot of good points, and it seemed like you have studied the two countries' history. Sierra Leone especially, have contributed a lot when it comes to Pan-Africanism. I mean, the history is actually quite deep, it goes way, way back. Sierra Leone and Liberia, I think, if you look historically, they were the most relevant countries in the Black Africa in the modern days. I'm not talking about during the empires, but in the modern days, especially in terms of freeing slaves, because the thing is, the Black slaves who fought for the British Empire against the Americans in America, they were the ones who were brought back to London. Some of them were from Canada and the Caribbeans. They're the one that was brought to Sierra Leone, but some of them were brought to London first, and then they were repatriated to Sierra Leone, where Freetown is now, right? And then obviously the ones in America and in Liberia, they're mainly from the US. But those Creole that you were talking about, Carla, they contributed so much, and they actually mixed with tiny bits of other Nigerian tribes, which is not really that significant, okay? But they taught them, and this is the legacy. This is what I was talking about the last time I was here, but looking at ISO Speed, movement in Africa, it just like, to me, the boss, Ulrich Watalu, it just kind of exposed everything. And how we actually underestimate, if we work together, how much we can actually change things. Because the Sierra Leoneans, Creole, they're the one that built Lagos. They're the one that helped establish For example, Ghana is heavily influenced by Sierra Leone Creole. Um, there's no one, in fact, African countries, especially the Anglophone, that the Sierra Leoneans haven't helped educate. Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, that's where he studied. The Liberian president now, that Trump said he speak good English, he studied in Sierra Leone. It's just we've helped build institutions in the continent, during the colonial days, and that kind of spread out. And also because these black slaves were loyal to the British Crown, and they see them live together in London over those years, the British people start thinking, hang on a minute, these people, they are kind of our allies. We can't keep doing this. So the consciousness start going deep into their psyche, and obviously things, the Industrial Revolution start kicking in. That's when, William Wilberforce, people like that, set up the base in Freetown, to abolish slavery, where you have the later on Yorubas coming in, and later on other African, the little minor Nigerian tribes that was rescued on the sea in Freetown, who were resettled back to Nigeria, who established Lagos and Rivers. But majority of those Creole who came to Freetown, they came from the British, crown, like during the war in America, and from the Caribbean and Canada, and they did well. And Liberia, next door, I think the African Americans in Liberia and the native, they did not really establish that much, commonality. There was a bit of a misunderstanding between one another, and the political system became a bit more hostile, and it became different. In fact, the reason why Sierra Leone is suffering today is because the war started in Liberia. Our president, who is currently the president in Sierra Leone, is one of the people that end the war. So, but the positive side of it, absolutely, you can see the little tiny amount of, whatever you call African Americans or Caribbeans that came to the continent, who were free slaves, together with the Europeans. But majority of these people that transform what I'm talking about today, where the black people who train other blacks, have managed to do well in the continent. But what did that? The finish? The leaders that came afterwards, they became more tribalistic and more. There's more deeper, issues coming out. So they don't have that kind of nationalistic mindset that Carla was talking about. We lack nationalism. But in fact, in West Africa, most of the countries that you see who are part of their country, they tend to be doing all right.
Yeah, that's why I believe Black America, I'll be in Liberia in a few weeks. Our presence there ignites that sort of consciousness in them, because when I'm around, they don't talk that tribal stuff. I'm around, they don't,
I think this is why I always go on about Nigeria. Nigeria is the highest black population in the region, and they are heavily involved in tribalism. And we in the far west, they don't have it. They don't. They only got tribal consciousness.
You look at Mike Olawale, you see that. Yeah. I'm this guy in the chat room. Kyle does that. Look, how are you going to come up here and tell me what the hell I am? If I had Caribbean background, I would say so. I am not. I'm 100% black, African American, Black American. And I hate that term FBA because FBA is lower class.
Carla, when you're having a serious conversation like this, you try and ignore the chat because it's much more. It'll be much more.
It just gets annoyed, man. I look over there and they're talking this, trying to Carla's immigrant or not. How the hell am I an immigrant? Guys, have I ever? All the years you know me, have I slipped up and said I was in?
No, you're not. But let me pass the mic to Kadoe. Go ahead, Kadoe. Mute yourself, then Skywalker. Go ahead, Kadoe.
All right. So once again, I'm glad to be on the show, and I hope you are getting me. Am I clear?
Yes.
All right. So Carla said something earlier. He said that Liberians are happy that Black Americans are there, just like other Africans are happy to see Black Americans around because they like Black American presence. So what I want you to know is that the Africans that think that way are Africans with low self-esteem who don't know their value. Those are the Africans that
must be the majority of the continent then.
Then trust me, there are a lot of Africans on our continent that are more civilized than you.
Hold on. I'll be there in a few weeks, right? I
and
can
I'm
guarantee
probably
you,
more civilized than you.
if I go to Liberia, you go to Liberia. Who you think who they gonna like more?
Trust me, it depends if the Liberian that you are talking to and a
No,
part of
look, I
Liberia
can
that
go
you
all
are.
over Liberia. I got like thousands of Liberians that I know in my
But then
network.
how
You
come?
know,
Then how
so
come? Then how
the
come?
bottom line is
How
this:
come?
they
How
always,
come?
hey, Colin, when you coming back to the continent? I said, God dang, I just left, man. You know, come on back. They
Yeah,
always like, when you leave, when you staying here, when
I,
you gonna come and
I know. I know you're
permanently?
trying to make yourself feel good. I know
You
you're
know, so
trying to
no,
make
no, I'm not
yourself feel
making this
good.
good. And you know what else is going
You
on
know
down
you're
this
trying to make
way?
yourself feel good.
Hold up.
But it's
Liberians
okay.
in
Dennis,
Liberia
let me
call
continue.
ICE for
You, Dennis, I
Liberians.
want to
The
continue with this,
Liberians
right?
like, yeah,
Tell,
you better
tell
be
Carla
quiet
to
because
shut his
I'm
mouth
gonna
so I
tell
can talk.
I'm gonna tell the
Kyle, let Kadoi ask his question and make his point. Go ahead, Kadoi.
Yeah, so the question that I saw today was why Summer Doe is not celebrated. So what I want to say is Summer Doe, the Summer Doe do have some fans in Liberia. And I'm not a fan of Summer Doe. He called us said I'm crying. I'm not crying. I'm from Nimba County. I'm Mano. I'm
I've been
man.
there.
Let me
I
call it
got
right
my
now.
boy
I'm
Gray
man.
Africa is a mono, a real mono.
I'm a man. I wouldn't even say man. I'll call it the right way how we call
We
it. I
call
am
mod.
man.
I know the mod tribe, but we say mono.
Yeah. No, yeah, but that's why you say because that's because and you are not qualified to talk about how we should talk it, how
I've
we
been
should
up
call
there.
it.
I broke bread with the mono people. My guy
Yeah,
Naya
yeah,
Rhode
whatever.
Island's
So
not a mono. I know all about the
let me
mono
talk
people
about
from
Samuel
Nimba.
Doe, please. Let me talk about Samuel Doe,
Nobody knows
please.
who you are.
So Samuel Doe, he have some fans in Liberia, and even though I'm not a major fan of Samuel Doe, I appreciate some of the things that occur, but I don't appreciate the innocent lives that he took. Yes, the innocent life that
About
Samuel
the
Doe took,
Luther
I don't
Church
appreciate it.
massacre.
Why y'all
But
let him get away with
but
saying Samuel Doe like that?
yes, but I come in now. Just let me end my. I will soon get you. Don't worry. Stop being emotional, Kara. So
It wasn't me.
Samuel Doe, I appreciate the fact that Samuel Doe and others took advantage of that step and carry on that coup. I appreciate it. But the innocent life, there were some innocent people that they shouldn't have killed. I'm not talking in regards of my people like the mine and the down people from northern Liberia who are called Mano and Gil people in Liberia. No. Even there were American Liberians that I have problem with him killing. That because I'm not talking here like anti like somebody who hates like American Liberian. No, I have love in my heart for them and every one of us that are talking on this panel. But the wrongs I want to say the wrongs and the rights. Kala descended from one of those free slaves that descend
Let me
to
ask you a question, right?
that
Hold up.
was that was sent to that
have any
place.
contact. Hold up. The mono people, and there was no American
Emma, you see,
Liberians
I'm
in
not
Nimba.
even ending what I'm saying, and he's disturbing me.
All right, go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. You're talking shit.
You see, it's just showing your insecurity. I wanna how you are thinking now.
Oh, let me
Are you
ask you a question.
insecure
How
or what?
old are you? How old are you?
I know you are old enough to be my father, but you're an
No,
old
no, no.
fool.
How old? No, how old? How old are you?
I'm 26 years of age.
Okay, 26. You were just born yesterday. So how you
Yeah, yeah,
speaking to me about something that you weren't
Linus,
even around
you
for?
gotta let the speaker speak. I ain't let
Yeah,
Colin
yeah.
keep cutting him off.
Hold on.
Kala, have it quiet, man.
Let's do this. Kadoi, Kala, don't interject. Kadoi, you got 45 more seconds.
Yes. So I was just born yesterday, like what you said, but there is a lesson for you. History is not always learned by those that were living around. That's why we get education. That's why we go to school for. That's why people go and read the news. That's why people get these things. So, so for your information, Samadou is still celebrated in Liberia, and he is celebrated by his fans. And the other American Liberian leader that you talk about, that you say will celebrate their birthday, they were the one who made it holidays for it to be celebrated. And even me personally, I have issue with celebrating Tottenham birthday. It's not because I hate like him as a person. Like, oh no, I wouldn't say like let me say it's not because I just have this hate towards American towards the free slaves. No, I don't hate the free slaves, but I hate there were some things that that he did during his leadership that I have issue with, that I believe that he should not be celebrated. And the American Liberians, the main presence here. The last time we talked about it in Liberia, I said a lot of like the problem with a lot of Liberians is education. That's that's the
Hey,
problem. And you know, and
I got to pass the mic. Go ahead,
all
Skywalker.
right.
You say nothing.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Skywalker.
yeah, I just want to say greetings to the panel and everybody. Man, every time we talk about Liberia, Liberia is just such a heartbreak to me, man. Based off the potential that it could have been. I actually had the opportunity to be in contact with the Lewis Arthur Grimes Law School there because I was supposed to go there and do a postgraduate program there, but the guy never even hit me back. But we was in contact a lot through email, but we never, I guess, really settled on the time or plan. But man, Lewis Arthur Grimes was at one point in the 1920s, he was the Attorney General of Liberia. Then he went on to be like the 23rd Chief Justice of the Supreme Court there. But talking about Samuel Doe, man, I think, this guy destroyed, over 100 years worth of development that the African Americans, along with the natives there, had built in Liberia. Liberia was headed on a trajectory to probably be like the Dubai of Africa. Now, I mean, we're talking about a country that was formed as a result of the American Colonization Society under the tutelage of the Monroe Doctrine, and had a port. We're talking about, a lot of people don't even know that Liberia is the reason that during World War II, America had tires because of the Firestone plant there. Man, there's just so much history, and it was so much potential that could have been established in Liberia. When I watched the I Show Speed documentary thing, and he went into that hotel, and just like the shell of that hotel, you could tell that it was absolutely beautiful hotel.
That was the first 5-star international continent. Do you know sometimes on game shows in America, black contestants would get to the Monrovia, Ducor Hotel, Monrovia, Liberia, in the 60s.
Man, let this man talk, man. Dennis,
no, I want to hear what he's saying, brother. No, I want to hear what he's saying. Continue, Kyle. What was you saying about the hotel?
The Ducor Hotel was the only 5-star hotel in the whole continent of Africa, right?
What?
The only 5-star hotel on the whole entire continent, overlooked the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my God!
And so the bottom line, that goal had Nina Simone.
Yeah, so if I get interject real quick,
Muhammad Ali,
hold on. So Skywalker, they had hold on. So Skywalker, they had the Ducor Hotel and was it Hotel Africa College Genesis?
Then you had Hotel Africa.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
destroyed,
crazy, man.
Bro. That's absolutely insane. So to even say that you support Samuel Doe, this guy destroyed. I'm talking about could have been an African utopia, which could have, spearheaded the whole unity of Africa by it just standing out as an example of what Black people could do, whether they're African American, African. I don't care what tribe it is. I think another one of my heroes in Liberia is actually the second president of Liberia, Stephen Allen Benson.
He spoke different languages, man. He broke peace with the Bassa.
Yeah, man, it's just heartbreaking thinking about what happened in Liberia, man, and how they assassinated those Black men. Like I say, whether they were African American or not, that is just a brutal way to do somebody, bro, after they've pretty much built up.
They trusted the Native people enough to let them in the military, so we're going to be one people, and that's the thanks they got.
Yeah, bro. It's just heartbreaking to me, man. It's heartbreaking. And young brother, the 26-year-old, I understand, but I think College Genesis hit it on the head, bro. You're so young, man. Like, you're 26. I don't really think you understand. I don't really think you understand the extent to which Liberia was destroyed as a result of that coup, my brother.
And sorry to
Dennis, can I come in here?
I'll yield right there, man.
Yeah,
I'll yield right there.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. So, and also it destroyed Sierra Leone and nearly destroyed Ivory Coast. Okay, it's only because Guinea got a strong military, very strong. They don't fuck around. Sorry
all right, bro. Let me come in here, right?
That's why they couldn't get in. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was a cancel. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello to the panel and the chat. Look, to the question of the show, right? Why Samuel Doe is not celebrated? First of all, Samuel Doe is my kingsman. I disagree with the killings, like the brother said, of the people on the post. First of all, the coup was justified, but killing those men, I think, wasn't justified. and then the things that happened after the coup, the infighting amongst the coup plotters, the war that led to that led to it. Those things were not positive. So for me personally, he's not a hero of mine. But to say he's not celebrated is not true. Samuel Doe is one of 5 people to be on the currency of the Republic of Liberia, the only native, quote unquote, native man to be on that currency. He's on a $50, note. Our national sports stadium, is named after him. So he is celebrated in the country. People
And he
use a
named it after
currency that is
himself.
1 second column. People use a currency that his face is on every day in the country. They go to the biggest sports complex to see their national team play, where his name is embroidered on that stadium. So
Bro, I bet
he
I
is.
bet Samuel I bet Samuel Beers, the president of Cameroon's face might be on the face of some money. That don't mean he was a good man, bro. He destroyed all
I
of the
just I
development you
just
had in
said
Liberia.
before I even said that, I just gave you a disclaimer. I said I don't agree with him. He's not a hero of mine. We're talking about the title of the show today. Why he's not celebrated. I'm saying that he is celebrated through certain things that his image is reflected nationally throughout the country. So
Let
he
me
is
ask you a
celebrated.
question.
That's the point that
Exactly.
I'm
This
making.
gives
Hey,
me
Kyler, can
hope.
I ask you a question, Kyler?
Well,
Yeah.
guys, I got to read the
Oh,
super chat first. Princess Nyambi, thank you for 99. Holla. Samuel Doe destroyed Liberia and oppressed various ethnic groups worse than the American Liberians. Is that true, Elvis?
No, that's not true. And let me tell you why.
Yes,
I don't remember
that's
anybody
not
So
true.
getting eaten.
one second, right? So Samuel Doe was in power from 1980 all the way up to 1989 before the war came. The country wasn't destroyed. All the infrastructure was still there. A lot of people who were quote unquote American Liberia they fled the country because they feared they feared he was gonna harm them. Although he put a lot of American Liberians in his government, so the country was
He
running. It
also
wasn't
killed a lot of
destroyed.
them too.
What destroyed the country was the war that came in
A lot
1989.
of women were
That
raped.
was what destroyed the infrastructure and everything that was
but
built.
that was a result of what happened with Samuel Doe, brother. I mean, that's like a domino effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
the
is
country
intricately
collapsed.
related to the first coup, bro.
Country
That's like
collapsed.
saying that World War II wasn't World War II started because of events that happened in World War One, bro.
All right. So, if there's anybody who should talk about Samadon being wicked to other ethnic group, is someone like me because I'm from the ethnic group that experienced some things, and I'm here to tell you that Samadon never did worse. And I can prove it to you. But you
So
know
what
what
about the
happened?
whole? What about the Lutheran Church massacre?
Just give me a chance, right? So
Never heard
when
it.
people are fighting war, hmm, when people are fighting war, they tend to kill each other
Oh,
terribly.
the Lutheran Church
Yeah,
massacre was not a
and they
war.
only
Well, hold on, hold on, hold on,
the
hold on, hold
problems
on,
are
Civilians were
coming.
raped.
hold on. Kadora, can you this church massacre? Can you address that? Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
can you address?
yeah.
Or
The Lutheran Church massacre. I've been to the church. I've been there.
I'm talking. Or can you, I guess, give me an example that's comparable that the American Liberians did? Go ahead.
All right. So, there are there are several kinds of bad things that people do in this world. There are certain things that are for example, you have death. You know that there are some things that are worse than death.
Oh God damn, Kadoa, Jesus, stop dancing
No,
around the question, man.
I know.
Yeah,
Listen, you
can't
don't
you,
know what I
I
want to
want
say,
you
man.
to go into
This
detail
is
about
this
the
is
church
Elvis's
I'm
massacre,
going to
accolade.
go into detail if you just
no,
give
but
me a minute. Eh?
give me an
If
example.
I
you just
can
give me
I
a
can
minute,
answer
right?
that question, Dynasty.
Just
This
give me.
is
I can't.
Elvis's
Just
Give
give
me
me
an
a minute.
example, and then give me an example of the American Liberians doing worse. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, let me talk now. Okay, the Lutheran massacre. I know about it. I went to the church. I've been there. I've seen the stains, the blood stains. I know most of my people, the damn people, they were slaughtered like cattle by Samuel Doe. I'm very much aware of that. But here is
Okay,
the
then. So
problem.
that should be the end of the discussion, bro. He's
Yeah,
obviously a
yeah. I
very
don't.
So
good
Okay,
man.
hold
okay,
on,
I mean,
hold on,
so but
Skywalker.
what the
Hold on.
American Liberian did is this. What the American Liberian did is this. The American Liberian, they wanted to carry on the same rule, the same diabolical rule that white people have over the Native Americans in
oh
America.
please.
Oh
That's the
He
God.
got
same
he don't even know the
diabolical
history of
over
America.
Come on.
Bro,
I'm
you are
coming.
You
obviously
see, you guys are
He
not
uninformed,
don't
letting
know
bro.
him
about
speak.
white
You're
folks.
This is
uninformed.
a
Let me speak
Liberian
first.
who is living in Liberia. You're not letting him
He
speak.
don't
You
know
guys
shit
don't know
about
more about
America.
the
This is
country
what
than
he
he
wants
do.
to know.
Yes.
What Mike? So isn't
Actually,
that
we
so?
do. We formed the country, Elvis. What are you talking?
Hold on.
You didn't form shit. None of your
So, so,
ancestors went to Liberia. So
so, tell me how Okay, so you're saying that Samuel Doe didn't do worse?
But you asked me, I'm now listen. I talk of Samuel Doe and problem. Now I'm talking about American Liberian's problem.
No, what
Let
I'm
me talk
okay,
about
no,
it
no,
so you can see it.
okay, you're not answering the question. Show
Samuel
me
Doe didn't
the
do
worst.
worse. He
Show me
didn't do
the
worse.
worst. You're not answering the question. Show me the worst
Let me
example.
answer the question, Dynasty.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I come in.
Let me answer.
American Liberians are coming
let
in.
me rephrase the question again because he jumped over play. Okay, show me an example of American Liberians or something happening worse than the church massacre, and then show me an American Liberian president that was worse than Samuel Doe. Go ahead.
You know, when you are ruling a group of people,
No, they're
and
governing you.
I'm coming up.
Governing.
Listen,
Hold on.
I said rule. I
let-
never said govern. I said
People
rule.
don't
I said
understand.
rule.
Governing is
Kyle,
ruling.
I said
let him
rule.
ask the question. Go ahead, Kadoe.
I said rule, right?
No,
So
well, first of all, get
Okay.
that word rule out of your mouth.
Kyle,
We don't rule, we govern. We
first of all,
answer
have you heard of what Charles D.B. King did to some native in Liberia? Have you heard of it, Dynasty?
What did he do? Go
Hold
ahead.
on. How about your Dias?
Fernando Poe. Fernando Poe.
Charles D.B. King used forced labor on some. Charles D.B. King used forced labor on some native, and that was slavery.
That was a
Hold
lie.
on. Okay, Kadoe. Okay, so I'm a descendant of enslaved Africans. Okay, prove to me where they were breeding on these plantations, where the natives were getting castrated by Charles B. King and his people, whipped by Charles. I mean, again, when we talk slavery, like, give me the example.
No, that's chattel slavery, Dynasty. All slavery is not chattel slavery.
Hey, can I come in here? Can I come in here? Hey,
Dynasty, you gotta let me speak, bro. Let me speak.
Actually, I read the if you read the report.
I'm coming.
If you read the reports and opinions,
I'm coming. Wait. Dynasty. The difference between them is this: Samuel Doe murder, and American Liberians problem.
Wait.
God dang, Kadoe, you're not answering the question. Tell me what they did that was worse.
Let me tell you, Dynasty. I got the question right at the tip of my mouth. Let me say it.
I'm coming, Dynasty.
I think let Elvis respond to it because Elvis related to the former president.
Let me just end it short, Elvis, so you can do that. American Liberian problem was pride. Samuel Doe problem was murder. That was it. Pride is worse than murder to me.
So how's that worse than?
Okay, let me say it, Dynasty. We get it. Let me say this, right?
How is it worse than Samuel Doe?
Dynasty, let me say it, right?
Hey, do you know why pride makes you
Jeez, man.
Do you know how they treated us?
I was up next, bro.
Let me say this, right? Let me say
I had the ex caller that I even never got a chance to ask.
We can't. Hold on, Kadoe, let me speak, please. We can't equivocate, killings or murders, right? But I'll give you an example. It's not the same as what happened in the Lutheran Church massacre.
All y'all got is the rice rides. They messed up with the rice rides.
Hold on. You don't know what you. Hold on. So, what happened in the Lutheran Church was atrocious, right? But it was something that happened that, Kadoe, he's a young guy, but it's something called the Nimba raid, right? Where a bunch of guys, Sam Doki and DK Wonslier, they went up to Yekepa and they broke into a bank. And after the time the coup happened, the attempted coup happened in 1985 with Thomas Kuenpa, the people in Nimba, they started attacking the crowns that was living in Nimba. People like Charles Julu and some other people. Their wife was killed. Their husbands were killed. Their wife was ripped.
I got a question. When was the Nimba raid?
In 1985.
Okay, so what does this got to do with American Liberians?
No, you're trying to equate it, but I'm just telling you what happened there was it was terrible, but other things happened. But then let me get to the American Liberians. So there were 72 chiefs, crew chiefs, right?
Okay. Right.
And chiefs are leaders of the people. They're head of entire clans.
Right. The crew chiefs who were complicit.
Who came to do a peace treaty and were massicared. They were massacred before their people.
Okay, so but hold on, Caller, because Kadoe brought up slavery. So the crew chiefs who were complicit in the slave trade. Go ahead.
Oh, you said they're complicit in the slave trade?
Absolutely.
Okay, fine. If you want to say that, just like he was telling you,
they were. If you read the reports,
whatever you say, Dynasty.
If you read the reports and opinions of Louis Arthur Grimes
was selling forced labor to Fernando Poe, You know, so
They had to
if you
fight a
think
war with
their
some of these
killings were
people because they were
justified,
selling slaves to the French.
if you think their killings were justified, then the coup was justified. It's that simple.
Hold on, Elvis. Hold on, Colin. Hold on. And before that, the crews were selling forced labor to Fernando Poe.
Exactly. They were selling slaves. It's
If
documented
you
in the
think
report.
if you think their killing
It's
was justified,
documented
then
in
the
the
coup was
reports
justified.
and
They
opinions
put
of the
those men
Attorney
on the
General.
pole and they
Who
shot
was
them and
Arthur
killed them.
Grimes.
That was justified. So there you go. Two wrongs
Hey,
make a
Colin, let me
right.
ask you a question. Can I ask Colin this question real quick,
Dinus, something real quick. Dinus, something real quick. American Liberians were used as agents by America on our soil.
Oh my
Our
God.
land,
Oh
our
my
land
God.
was stolen
Oh
from
my
us.
God. You know.
Oh my God.
I have
Colin, can I
proofs.
ask you a question?
I have proofs, though.
Yeah.
I have proofs.
Yeah, y'all just moving the goalposts.
Yeah,
now.
moving it. Let me ask
No,
Colin a question.
no. I have
Hey,
proof,
can I
Dinus.
Hold
I have
on,
proof.
I gotta pass the mic to G Lacone. Go ahead, G.
Yeah, come on, man. I have proof.
Hold on, go ahead, G. G, you froze up, G. Y'all gotta stop calling it on your Obama phones.
Hey, Colin, let me ask you this question. Question, Colin. What do you think about the African Americans? To this day, I feel like we have a responsibility for Liberia. Sometimes I be thinking that
Skyler, I got a group on Facebook called the Association for Africa. I had it for 15 years. Africa Liberia. We already got a good chapter in Liberia. We got African Americans there, growing there. We got just growing. The number of African Americans around America who are taking interest in Liberia is growing. I got a group, the Association for African Americans for Liberia. You know,
do you think that there's any chance that there could ever be emergence
right
of
now.
the true?
You got people repatriating right now. Yeah,
of the true Whig party, though.
Well,
do you think that there can ever be a
true Whig party? Right? Be honest with you, man. I've given up on Liberian politics. The true Whig party ain't got a chance, man. You know,
they don't got a chance.
What
Okay,
we tried to take over the E.J. Roy building. You know, the E.J. Roy building, which that's used to be True Whig Party's headquarters. And these native people, if you would see how they destroyed that beautiful building.
Oh my God,
that was the most beautiful building in West Africa. You know, they destroyed that building.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, is a sad story, really, because the cohesion, the cohesion in Liberia wasn't really good between the African American and the natives. But
the cohesion was good. They was there from 1830 up until 1987, bro. Up unto 1980. I mean, that's a lot of cohesion. Anytime you're in a place from 1830 into 1980, that's some cohesion.
Yeah, it wasn't good at it. It wasn't good at the end. It wasn't good at the end because of things that obviously was boiling up underneath the surface.
It wasn't good at the end because the guys saw opportunity and they took it and it destroyed the whole country.
So as we can Carla, hold on, you
spoke. They don't know how to manage expectations.
Right. There's so many issues with all of us, Africans in the diaspora, and African in the continent, and African Americans. There's this thing that we don't understand that much about ourselves and our people. I mean, that area you call Liberia now, and Sierra Leone, right? These places they were very back in the days during the Mali Empire. During the trade route, these areas were very tight because they're river areas. The man, like my brother that was speaking just now, is a river tribe, the Manos, and basically is a territory, that suffered with too many raids from outsiders. Those are coming from the other side of the Mali Empire, So they had to protect themselves from outsiders and have that mentality. Okay. And then obviously you got those in the sea, the fishing tribes that go through the sea, right? And now you got African Americans that came in. Obviously the cohesion was good, but at the end you see all that stuff in the surface that boiled up, and also the politics in that region, which is the same problem. For example, in Sierra Leone, the politics is run by the provinces. The provinces decide most of our leaders. And since the Creole lost influence in the country, because when the Creole, I'm not talking about, I would say, let me give you a good example of what's happening. In Sierra Leone, the Yorubas, the Nigerian Creole, who mixed with the Caribbean and African American, there was a bit of issue that wasn't really clicking on back in those days, right? Because the Yoruba Creole, they were more tribalistic, and the African Americans and the Caribbean, they were a bit more. That was something I was reading about that on that line quite a while ago. and the African Americans and the Caribbeans, they was more nationalistic than tribalistic. Even though the Yorubas are not native from Sierra Leone, they was free slaves also. But eventually they managed to, I think it's the local that trying to separate that and say, look, you are not, let's make peace and deal with the thing before you get to the issue, right? So that's what Liberia failed. And also, like for example, when the native in the region took power, from the Creole in the western provinces, when the British left, they kept the power and they make sure they kept the Yorubas at arm's length because it was the Yoruba Creole, because it was steering ship between the two tribes, and they realized we have to take them both out of the political arena. So right now, if you look at the political parties in Sierra Leone, none of them have the Creole influence. But it's not the Caribbean or African American Creole. They were the good ones. They were the one that actually built everything. They're the one that brought all the knowledge. Is the local African themselves, ourselves, which we're not trying to deal with. It's us that bring all that stupid shit into it, and then everything blew out of proportion. Then we all fail.
Anything happened in Liberia, bro?
All right,
So,
No, but in Sierra Leone, we never had a civil war based on tribalism. Let me just finish. We never had a civil war based on tribalism, based on religion.
Africa, I gotta disagree. They were definitely targeting Creoles during the Civil War.
Not the Creole. Okay, before the Caribbean Creoles and the Jamaican Creole, because there was the Yoruba Creole was a bit hostile towards them. A lot of them left. They came to the UK, to America. Some of them stayed, but the ones that they probably had more target for was the Yoruba Creole. I don't know why, but I don't think it was targeted. They happened to be more victims of the rebels when they entered into the capital, because those people in the region, and they're not familiar to those in the capital. Okay, they're not the same. They don't have similar culture. They don't have similar languages and stuff like that. So that might be the issue. I wouldn't agree that any such people were targeted during the Civil War. It was just
the same problem.
I gotta pass.
He gotta let the guy speak.
I gotta pass it to G.
Let Dennis finish.
Go ahead, G.
Yeah, when he's done, yeah, please.
Okay. To all the hysteria, can you hear me in the first place? Can you hear me?
We hear you, but you're lagging. Like your camera. Might as well just turn your camera off because you're lagging. Yeah, you're on your Obama phone. All right, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, to all the historian here. Let me
you're going in and out, man. You're going in and out, bro. Like I want to hear you, but you're going in and out. Nah, Gee, you gotta. Don't call in on your Obama phones. All right, no.
Dinus, while he's getting it together. Hey, bro, you just talk, bro. Dinus, while he's getting it together.
No. I want to talk, man.
I want to make a.
For a while
bro,
now.
you just talked, bro. Okay, let me just make this point. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick, bro. Give me 30 seconds. God, leave. But anyway, I think one of the I see Dinus, you got a super chat.
Yeah. I'm about to read them. Go after you. I'm gonna read them. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I see a similar mindset between the black liberals in America and the native population in Liberia. And what I mean by that, a lot of times you will see like black liberals in America, talk bad about when they were segregated and want to keep things, but they fail to forget all the industries that we had when we were segregated and all like the self-determinative initiative.
We had game theme parks. We had
exactly and so they forget about all that. And the same thing in Liberia, right? It seems like the native population might talk about some of the downfalls or some of the mistakes that I probably could even admit that the African Americans might have made. But overall, we look at all the benefits and all the great development that was there. You know what I mean? It was still so like it seems like they're under the same kind of brainwashing scheme. The natives are as kind of like the liberal African Americans are.
Most of the people
believe. No. The diners, I say I wanted to just, I wouldn't take long. Let me just go. Let me just talk on this short thing. I heard others talking about how the American Liberian rule was kind of the best, this, that. So,
It was.
I wanted to correct that because it sounded, I don't know I don't know, but the people that tell those stories, the people that don't follow Liberian history, because it sounded like
Well,
comedy to
a
me.
lot of native
But
people say so.
the American Liberians rule was the worst rule ever in Liberia history, and
What?
Liberia
Bro, you
developed.
crazy.
No, no, but let me explain. If I'm crazy, let me talk, so we can know whether I'm crazy or not. All right. So when you look at all of the regions in Liberia, you see the northern region, the southeastern region, the western part of Liberia, the central part of Liberia, all these places. When the development start to go to all of these places, the American Liberian ruled from 1847 up to 1980. That's like 133 years, I think. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it should be. So they rule undisturbed. No native touched them. Most likely
Oh,
because they never
are you
carried.
kidding
I'm
me? Are
coming.
you kidding me?
They
Are you
never. I
kidding?
come in now. Carla, give me a chance. Let me talk.
Oh, Donnie,
Then
I gotta address this guy. I'm gonna
and
blow
that
him
most
away.
likely happened. And that really happened. Like kind of happened mostly because they never carried development in the interior of the country at all. There were no roads. In fact, most of these people were still living ancient kind of way. I have my great grandfather who
Yeah,
was still
well,
fighting with.
no, that's how it is in Africa, pretty much everywhere in
No, no,
Africa.
no, 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 no. Trust me,
Everyone
Dinus.
live in
No,
America
Dinus,
or
Dinus,
Africa.
Dinus. No, Dinus. That's not no Dinus.
No, you're not gonna overtalk me. Kadoy. When I travel throughout Africa, the urban areas are developed for the most part, then the villages, for the most part, aren't. I don't.
No,
Right,
Dinus.
that's true.
It's like that all
Dinus,
over Africa, man.
Dinus,
That's
Dinus,
true.
Dinus. Let me make you know something. Liberia story is different from them.
Oh Lord.
Let me make you to know how it's different. You see, in Africa, most of these African countries, right? Yes, I know that they have less development in a lot of part of that interior, but it was now as worse as Liberia.
Oh
I'm
no,
talking
no.
about.
Actually,
I'm
like
no. I
all
am talking.
15
No, give me
counties,
Kala know this.
all
Kala know
15
this, but
counties
you
had
just want
a
to be
water
defensive.
tower, pipe
Uh,
on water. Nowhere
eh?
else in Africa. Liberia had the highest standard of living in
No,
Africa.
I'm coming. Let me end my statement first. I'm coming. I'm coming. The southeastern part of Liberia, people, there were no roads there at all. At all. I mean, no road. You couldn't find any road there. It was just recently that there was some mudslide that car used to go and the car used to stick in that mudslide. It was some very large, like machine that will haul those cars out. Some parts of there are many parts of Liberia. It was very bad of compared to other African countries. And looking at the age of Liberia again, looking at the age of Liberia, let me tell you, they did it on purpose. It's not something they did it on purpose, and some of them are not developmental. Even in Liberia now, then yeah, like the places that they buy land in Liberia, yeah, they don't. They usually that they were the one even pushing for dual citizenship because they don't sit in Liberia. They worship white people, and they see it like being the more white you become, the better you are. That's how American
Oh,
Liberian think.
please, man, that's a bunch
And
of
the
nonsense.
natives do not think like that.
Hey guys,
The natives, yeah,
can I
they,
correct this guy?
that is why I said that
Ye-
American Liberians or any of the diaspora, any of the
mm.
Africans,
And now
any of the
basically,
descendants of those that
guys,
were taken as
the
slaves,
same hatred
when they
they talk
rule
about.
Africa, it will be
Now
worse.
they hate
Do
they hate the
you know? No, no,
Liberians
no,
in America. They
no,
Bro,
Liberians
you
in
need to go read
America
some books.
are
I,
now the
no,
I,
no, 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 no,
I don't,
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no, no.
feel,
Trust me,
I
don't
don't
flatter
feel,
yourself.
I,
Do
I
not
don't feel,
flatter yourself.
I don't feel comfortable.
Liberian on the ground here,
My,
do not have any hate for
my
Liberians in
Liberian
America.
brother, my Liberian
No,
brother,
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
you
feel
no,
are you
no, no.
kidding
comfortable
That,
me?
that,
That is that hatred for you
no,
guys
listen,
remember
there are
listen,
there
there.
was a guy not too
I
long
know there
ago.
are some. I
His
know there are some
family that
foolish.
stole $30,000. He was supposed to be building a house.
There are some
They stole
foolish. There are
$30,000. He
some
bought
foolish
a five
guys,
Liberians
bedroom
here
house.
that do that. But trust me now. Oh, don't. I don't want to be
yeah,
shouting,
yeah,
Kala. Let me just talk.
okay,
I don't want to be
okay,
shouting.
Can you land,
No,
can
no.
you land,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Hang
want
on.
to say something.
No, no.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you.
landing now. Yes, I'm landing. Don't worry.
I got,
So,
I gotta read these super chats. Black Patriot 65, thank you $5 holla. The natives oppression is exaggerated. I agree. Out of jealousy, they overthrew the government and messed things up, leading many to flee America. John
all right.
Gonzola for 999 holla. American Liberian rule was elitist. That was common in African history, and in some ways, it was less brutal, especially in ending the slave trade and human sacrifice. There we go. Facts.
Hey,
John,
Dad,
you
All
don't
right,
love
so
it.
all right,
I
so
gotta read this money. I gotta read the money. John is only thinking 499. Holla, the American Liberians did practice some form of elitism, but name one African kingdom that didn't. I'll wait.
all right,
JC Inc.
so
Holla, don't try to go there as African American tribe begin and not good. Okay, go ahead.
all right, so you see, I told Carter the last time.
I
I
thought you
said
were done. I
when
thought you
I
were done
said
talking.
any of the diaspora, any of those that were taken from Africa as slaves that have gotten lost, which is not their fault, and I wish that they can get consciousness. But as long as they are lost, when they
But we wish
lead
you could get some
Africa, see, all of
consciousness,
those,
bro.
I said,
No, well,
as
we don't want any conscience. We came
when
back
they rule
and we built
Africans
the
or
universities
Africans,
and everything.
their rule will be worse. No, Kala, with their rule will be worse because they will lead us into making us more lost, and at the end of the day, we'll get destroyed because
So
because they
wait
are
a minute.
still
So
enslaved. They
so
are
the
still
last
enslaved.
45 years, what you
Even
guys
though they
been
stop
doing?
the trade, even though they stop the
Oh, you guys
even
are
though they
making
stop the
sense, right?
trade, they
You
are still
turned
You had the
everything
enslaved,
our
country for
African American
45 going
and
ancestors
they are
built into
still
a
lost.
dump.
You guys
Huh?
had the country for almost a half a century, man. What's going on?
Who
And
guys?
you turned everything that our African American ancestors built
Okay,
You turned
okay,
the country
into a
okay,
heap of
okay.
Are you kidding me?
of dirt,
Yeah, I
bro.
know.
Do you even know about Liberia? You guys haven't taken to a dump.
Right,
Do you know
guys.
the
I don't feel comfortable with this
terrible Liberia?
divisive conversation because I don't feel comfortable with the divisive conversation because
I guarantee
this
you, these
doesn't
people
help us.
are far
But
from what is called developmental. They are very far from what is called
yeah,
developmental.
what the one thing I noticed though in West Africa, the only group of people who have managed to develop something and scramble of what happened after the colonialism are the remnant children of the Mali Empire. That's Senegal, northern like the Ghanaians, um, yeah, and Ivory Coast. These are the regions that managed to maintain little bit of fresh air and doing bit of development and educating, and this goes ways back. And you can tell these people were disrupted, at one time in life. Otherwise, they would have been more progressive by now. Before the African Americans, arrived or the Caribbean arrived in West Africa. I know that would have been a continuous
Yeah, but
development from
They
the
got
local.
Islam messing them up and
Yes,
turning them
that's right.
into terrorists.
Yes,
So, got to account for that, right?
that's a totally that's a different thing. That's a different old topic. I mean, we're not bringing religion into this. We're bringing, I'm talking about in context of group of people who managed to organize, in different times, regardless if it was African religion, if it was Islam or Christianity, because Islam is not the only religion that came to West Africa. I don't know why people emphasize on it. And Islam is not the only religion where people lost their life. Even the African religions that we used
Well,
to
no,
practice.
you might
In
be right
fact,
about that, but Islam is overwhelmingly the worst
yeah.
religion when it comes down to terrorism and when it comes down to brutalizing
Yeah,
African Americans.
I don't want to dive out
Africans.
I don't want to
It's
dive out the
far worse than
conversation.
Christianity, and I wouldn't
You
proclaim
you
to be
you
a
might
Christian, brother. I practice
you might be right.
African spiritual
You
systems,
might be
but
right. You might be
yeah,
right.
but
You might be right.
yeah,
But I don't
so
want to
like
dive out the conversation, right?
Islam has done a number on black people, bro, for real.
Yeah, yes. Also, just I know 100%, and also Christianity have done the same thing historically, also, and also African religion have done similar things. So we can't just point our finger at one religion. I don't want to be coming here to debate on religion anyway. What I'm saying is obviously the end always justify the means, right? So if you look at West Africa today, it's those Muslim countries that you find this most Muslim population you find to be more developed, more advanced in the region. Whether you like it or not. And these are the ones that actually give African Americans, land to come back to land in Africa as slaves, as free slaves. And they're the same people who actually, for example, I don't know if you know this, most of the slaves that were captured, and sold to the Americans were Muslims. They weren't Christians. So let's not talk about that. Okay?
Most of the slaves came from Central Africa.
And African religion, and people that practice African religion and Muslims were the most enslaved during the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah, by Arabs, bro, not by the Western, by dirty Arabs.
I'm not talking about trans-Sahara. I'm talking about transatlantic slave trade. Most of the slaves that went through Gorée Island and all these places in Senegal and Ghana, these were African practitioners, people that practice African religion and Muslims. So that might be one of your ancestors. Terrorism in
But
Islam
anyway,
is
bro,
new.
back to
Is a
Liberia, bro.
recent thing. Yeah.
Liberia
So
it's the oldest
Liberia,
to this day. It's the oldest country in Africa, you know what I'm saying, that hadn't been colonized. And it was absolutely
Liberia was developed. But Sierra Leone, Liberia was developed during. I think,
no, bro. Liberia
Liberia
before
was colonized.
in the 1830s,
was
at first it was
colonized.
called the settlement of Kentucky.
I don't. I
It was
don't. I
called the
don't like.
settlement of
Sorry,
Kentucky
brother.
in
I don't
Liberia,
like you
the
shouting
settlement
over.
of Mississippi in
Liberia was
Liberia,
colonized.
the settlement of Maryland in
You're shouting,
Liberia, the settlement of Louisiana in Liberia. And after that,
you're shouting over.
in
Myths go around that
1863,
I don't know.
ACA
I don't know who you are, but you're
no.
shouting over my
Liberia was
conversation,
built
and that's why
solely
I'm
by
civilized.
black people from America. You know, every building you
Yes,
see,
I agree
every
with that. It was
road,
built by
everything was
African
built by
Americans.
black people from America.
Yes.
exactly.
African American
And as
descendant.
Carla said, it had
African
the
American.
highest standard of living in all of Africa. It was the only place that
And
was
Sierra
actually,
Leone.
hold on, brother. It was the only
Bro,
place that was actually
Troy.
declared. It was actually declared as a black asylum, as a place for black people to go to live freely, bro.
Kala is
Exactly.
lying.
I don't
He's
think.
lying.
I don't think
Kala is
you're
lying.
just shouting. I don't
And look
think
what
we're in
happened
a
to it.
disagreement. Are
Kala
you
is
just
lying.
shouting? I don't think we're in a
Liberia never had the
disagreement. You
best
just
standard of living in Africa. That's a
you're
flat
just
out lie.
shouting over my conversation.
Hey,
I'm not.
I gotta read some super chats. Ben, you gotta turn off your background. You got some stuff going on in the background. Emma B Squad Gaming. Thank you for holla. Islam is the worst. I find Muslims really mean. I would say this, especially right now. The only functioning country really in Africa that is majority Islam is Senegal. Islam is definitely doing a number on sub-Saharan Africa. You know, if we're not counting Morocco in the north.
Yeah, Senegal and Senegal and Guinea. Guinea is doing well. Guinea is doing well, and Guinea have done a lot.
Okay,
Guinea have done a lot to protect peace.
Hold on, let me Kadoy, let me ask you a question about Pastor to Ben. And this is where I get confused. If the American Liberians are so bad, why did the indigenous population follow the Americos to America after the Civil War?
All right, let me explain something to you. You see, there's a statement I call who don't like better things. You know, in Liberia, I'm coming. In Liberia, you know, I started a joke, right? But I'm actually trying to bring a serious point. In Liberia, there are two kinds of people in Liberia. There are those who hustle for the money in Liberia and get successful here, and they don't go to live in America. When you're traveling to America, it's just to visit and come back. You don't even spend sometimes even a month there, or even some weeks, sometimes just 1 or 2 weeks. And there are the second group of people in Liberia are those who hustle, and they can't make it. There are those who hustle, and they can't make it. So
I
they play DB. I'm coming. So they play DB, or they look for a way to travel to America so that they can make a living. I know Kala is getting his feelings right now because I'm talking the truth, but tell him to shut his mouth.
I haven't talked in like an hour.
Kala, shut your mouth. Stop.
No, hold on. Let me go ahead, Kala. Kala is the special guest. Let me pass the Kala.
All right, check this out.
I'm gone. You guys have a nice one.
Okay. I want to hear my time to Sando Morris, right? He has a book on Liberian history. He just published a book about time, Negro.
But Dennis, I don't understand you.
Kadoy. I got Kala's a special guest, and I got to pass it to Ben. I get it back to you. Go ahead, Kala.
Nonsense, you know.
Go ahead, Kala.
All right, now what you call this idea going around that what people do is when they talk about Liberia, it was a great country, right? What they do is they put glorious terms on the American Colonization Society. And most of those are a bunch of derelicts, grifters, you know, the worst kind of grifters, incompetent. Think about all the people in politics in America, right? George Washington, whatever like that. What do you send your incompetent deadbeat brother or brother-in-law, whatever like that? You send them to Liberia. So you got people like Bushrod Watson, Jedi Ashman, and all these other people, Buchanan. People talk about them in global terms. These people, like they carried this colony called Liberia. No, the truth was, Stockton, all of them did. I'll give them their credit, right, for initially establishing the settlement on the coast, right, negotiation, because there's no way we could have done that because at the 1820 like dynasty, the slave ships and the slave thing was still at its peak, even though it's supposed to be illegal, right? people, if you tried to sell, just a few years, a decades before Liberia settled, there was these two African American. Think about what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to think about psychologically what I'm about to tell you. There was two prominent African American businessmen from the Boston, right? And they were in the shipping business, right? They said, you know something, right? This is long before Liberia and Sierra Leone. They said, look, we need to friggin' think about building up, because black people in America had their own communities, but they were not safe. That's another thing people don't understand. We had our own communities in America, and all we did was duplicate those in Sierra Leone and Liberia. We had stone masonry, we have everything, carpentry, everything. You know, we could build our own society, right? So they said, you know something, if we had some land on the coast of Africa, we could do the same thing over there. So these guys sailed down the coast of Africa, and they came across the Bassa area, right, where Fishtown is, right? And these two guys, saw some Portuguese engaged in the slave trade, right? And this was like in the 1790s, whatever, something like that, around that time. What happened was the local Bassa chief at that time conspired with the Portuguese, and they kidnapped these guys, right? Stripped them naked and sold them on a slave ship. These were businessmen that went over there, you know, like a businessman out of Boston. You know, they were educated, everything, stripped down to everything. So therefore, people never, when that incident happened, right, the idea of going across to Atlantic was too dangerous to people. Like, that's why people stayed in America, because they knew they could be kidnapped by pirates, usually by pirates, and were not sold into slavery, you know. So therefore, the only way they could basically make that voyage by escort by the United States Navy. The United States Navy escorted the Elizabeth in all the voyages up until when I wrote my book, The Journey to the Promised Land, about the Azore. The Azore would cross the Atlantic undetected, unescorted. But all the other ships were protected by the U.S. and British Navy. They patrol the coast, trying to capture slave ships. There was a war going on.
Like William Wilberforce, William Wilberforce. You know, the British.
That's what was going on. So if you don't put this into context, you don't understand. So what that's going on, right? Yes, the Liberia was able to attract the most exceptional black men in the world: John Brown Westbrook, Edward Wilmot Blyden, E.J. Roy, Joseph Jenkins Roberts. You know, Blyden, I mentioned him, and several other people. Stephen Allen Bennett. These were highly educated black men. These scholars.
Carl, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you see the carpentry that you just mentioned. It was a big thing, and it's one of the things that the Creole people taught native Sierra Leoneans.
Carpentry, modern carpentry. You know,
the modern carpentry
we
is
brought all that
the people to do that.
Liberia, and was able to build a society, a modern nation. You know, on our own.
Yeah. And the engineering railway in Freetown, Dinah's probably been there. You know, it's like the railway system.
Until today, you go the Capitol Hills in Liberia, and you look at it and say, how the hell they build this 200 years ago? Holy jeez.
All right, guys. Hey, Colin, let me pass the mic to Ben Gibson. Go ahead, Ben. Unmute yourself. You had a lot of background.
You put the link in the chat room?
Yeah, guy. I did put a link in the chat room.
All right, Sando, call in, man. Sando, call in.
And then also, guys, make sure. Let me refresh Kala's page real quick, guys. Make sure if you have not subscribed. Okay, Kala is 28 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, guys. If you're watching this, let me put his link to his YouTube channel in the chat room. If you guys have not subscribed yet to Kala Genesis page, to his channel, please click on that link in the chat room. And make sure you subscribe. All right, he's 28 subscribers away from 1,000. All right, go ahead, V.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, V.
Okay. Hello, guys. Good evening or good afternoon. I just want to make a correction. Somebody just said that during the time of enslaving of Africans, most of the Africans that were vulnerable were the people that live in the very isolated communities, mainly. Majority of them too were traditional African. They practiced traditional African religion. At that time, Islam have been with Africa for over, say, between 5 and 700 years. A lot of the people within the Sahelian area and the northern part of West Africa has already been converted or practicing Muslims for maybe several generations even. And they, with the Tuaregs, some of those tribes, with the Tuaregs, and some of the leaders who, some of them to have converted to where they were practicing Muslims, they helped capturing people a lot. Remember, the coastal area just encountered the Europeans at that time, maybe, I think I said about 100 to 200 years, and enslavement started. And at that time, it's only the few people at the coast that have converted to Christianity. Majority of the interior Africans, if they were not practicing Islam, they were traditional African. They were practicing African traditional religion. And they were very vulnerable. And the Muslims targeted them. So let's not, sometimes you don't want to say this because you'll be targeting your brother Muslims. It's true. But at that time, they were so they were so convinced about the religion that they were practicing, and they saw the other Africans who were practicing African traditional religion as some sort of devils. So they helped many other people that they came in that they were targeting to kidnap and capture them. So you shouldn't come around and say, it was the Christians. The Christianity at the time, even I can tell you, my tribe, which is the Akan, some Akans at the coast has converted to Christianity. Vast majority of Akans have just recently, it's about 100 to 150 to 200, maybe 100 and 150 years that you find a few, more Akans converted to Christianity. So Christianity is very relatively new in terms of to us. It's not on the African continent because it was up in the north or northeast, but it's relatively new to West Africa. The predominant religion at the time in West Africa was Islam or traditional African beliefs. And a lot of those people who have converted to Islam with their other tribes that were coming from there, and the people at the Sahel were most particularly vulnerable because they live in very isolated communities. They have a vast land and they were very, very isolated. So they were very, very vulnerable, and they were taken a lot. People like the Akans, we were engaged in it as well, but it wasn't as much as, but I mean, we all did it. I'm not going to excuse my tribe from it. And even when it came to we fighting each other, we were even selling ourselves. We, the Akans, we were selling ourselves as well in exchange for guns, so we could go and attack ourselves.
Sorry to interrupt you, sister. Are you from the Akan tribe? That's central Ghana.
I am from the Akan tribe, yes.
Okay. Are you the part of the Ghana Empire, Ouagadougou? Are you the Soninke and the Akan? Didn't they build it?
Well, we migrated from Mali, the Bay Area down to where we are.
Okay. Thank you very much. If when it comes to slaving black people to the Arabs in the African continent, God help me, there's no one tribe that done it more than them, because the Ghana Empire.
No, the Ghana Empire, we got away. Majority.
No, hang on, hold on.
No, let me. You talk about my history.
Okay, I'll come back.
We got away.
I was part of my tribe was part of the Ghana Empire also, but you were the controllers and the leaders of the Ghana Empire.
No, we were not. The Soninke. How did we lose out? We were not the controllers. Some of the elders within the Ghana Empire did move away with their Akans, but we were not. We lost out. That's why we moved.
Is Akan and Soninke the same tribe?
No.
We came from the leaders of Soninke.
No, hold on. Can you finish? Yeah, go on.
We came from the lineage of Soninke and Malinke and also Mosi and Jula. And all those tribes we came out of that, yes, and even Mende as well. Some are kinds of Mendes,
yeah, exactly. So the Soninke, the Ghana Empire, whichever tribe was part of the Ghana Empire, because it was made of, because the Ghana Empire was oppressed the Fulans for a long time, and the Mandinka and the other tribes around them for so long.
You like to play the victim. You were
no,
with
but you're not listening. Listen. Every tribal.
You were with the Arabs.
Every tribe was.
You were with the Arabs. You the Fulani. You were with the Arabs.
Who invited Arabs?
Pushing and killing more.
Can
So
I
stop it.
ask you? Okay, who invited the Arab to West Africa? The Ghana Empire invited the Arab to West Africa, where Morocco is today.
No, they
It's
didn't.
not the fullest.
They
Are you
paved them
kidding
for
me? Are you
trade,
kidding
and
me?
later
They
they
only no.
besieged them.
Thank you. And they let them settle, and they start giving them. They start giving them the
Yeah,
you know the
because they
opportunity because
fought them.
because
They
because
fought
you,
for over
what was it?
20.
What was they
Come on
trading?
now.
They was trading salt. They was trading salt.
This
Okay,
is so
No, they fought.
chaotic, man.
No,
You're
they was
saying
listen.
one at
trading
a
salt.
time. Or...
Listen.
That gold.
They
It was
fought
salt
for
and
over
gold.
20
Salt and gold.
years. They,
Yeah.
they
What's the point?
fought.
Can we get
But
back to the topic? Let's get back
we
to the
helped you
topic.
guys. We helped you guys fought them out, and you obviously then the us and the other tribes and your tribe were conquered by the other tribe, and they built the Mali Empire. So we built the Mali Empire. Okay, so whatever happened in West Africa today, yeah. Us, like the Fula, the Soninke, the Malinke, the Akkad, or whatever, our rulers, yeah, were the people that built all these empires when all this thing occurs. So really, truly, we shouldn't be playing blame games and trying to point fingers. All which we should be trying to do is to learn from the
I'm
history
only
and
talking about. I'm not blaming
and
anybody.
moving forward. Okay, because like when you talk about religion, I don't know why people struggle with religion. To be honest with you, because me personally, I see my race before I see any religion. Okay, if you're a black person, I will put you first. And the reality is, we need to be more tolerant to what one
I know
another's
that.
religion and become respectful. That's the bottom
I
line.
know a lot of Fullers
Okay.
do that. I know a lot of
Okay.
Fullers do
Thank
that.
you.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that
Okay.
all Fulanis.
No. No.
I have a lot of Fuller friends, and a lot of Fullers do that, and they're well established in West Africa, and then some of the most very educated and very strong
Exactly.
tribes.
Exactly.
No, but I'm just talking about history. I'm not going to talk about
No. Of
history
course.
and
Of course.
disregard my tribe,
No.
what we did.
No. Of
But
course. No.
regarding
Of course. You
the Ghana
you
Empire,
build the first
Oh boy.
empire in West Africa. You build the first empire in West Africa, and you was really powerful. And you managed to establish so much that other tribes. That's the reality. But we was oppressed, and this is how power works. It's capitalism, And like what we see, they're complaining about the white man and how they got more power and how they're treating us. If we have power, we're gonna do the same things. So the reality is, us black people, we need to look at trade, and this is why our empires back in the days were very successful. It's because, and if you look at those children of the empire, including
I also have a take that what divides us most is coming of these foreign religions. That's what divided us. That's what destroyed us. And that's what
because if you look at all
recovered to today.
Yeah, if you look at all the history in West Africa before this foreign religion came about, was one of the happiest people, and also because we are the early settlers.
Yeah,
yes.
Are you
we were
sure?
we used to cooperate a lot.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, we were very.
Find something. I'm gonna leave. You guys can have your conversation about Liberia and Senegal. I'm sorry, not Senegal. Liberia and
Sierra Leone.
No, I'm not really.
I just want to correction. You guys are saying something interesting just now.
It's all right. So
West Africans,
finish.
it's about time. West Africans, it's about time we accept that is this coming in foreign religions that have destroyed us, and it's still destroying us today. But you go and tell your brother who is a Muslim or Christian, oh God, you are devil incarnate to talk about their religion. But before we were not fighting as much as we fought later.
How did your ancestors get their religion? I want to learn.
How did who?
How did your ancestors get their religion? I want to learn.
Okay, I will help you.
Our kinds moved away, migrated down because they didn't want to be converted into Islam. That was they wanted to maintain the African tradition and religion that we have. But later, we got converted.
Sorry.
Later, the Christians came to us, and then some of my sisters got converted, about maybe 200 the most. I mean, I could say my family have been Christians less than 120 years, And there was all this missionaries.
This is what I was saying. This is what I was saying earlier. Sorry. This is what I was saying earlier. When someone mentioned about Islam, when I mentioned the Mali Empire, sorry, I apologize. When I mentioned the Mali Empire, children dominate West Africa. Like the Fulani, Mandinka, the Akan, the Soninke, and all these tribes. It's not because they were Islam. If you look at most of them that live in the coastal region, they ran away from the Mali Empire when Islam came to West Africa. They said,
Yes.
no, we don't want to be part of
So
Islam.
I want to
You
say
know,
something. I come in.
mm,
You said that right, but firstly, the is there any such thing as as an African religion? Because first of all, our ancestors never called themselves Africans, and all of these ethnic groups, they were not under one umbrella called African religion. They all
Well, there
worship
is a
different spirits.
listen,
They
listen,
worship
listen,
different
listen.
spirits.
They never used the word African, but there was a word. If you go into every African tribe or say ethnic group or tribe, they always have a word that we use to describe ourselves. We in Akan, we say ebibri. Ebibri means melanated people. Ebibri for when we say ebibri means melanated people. So we use that word to describe ourselves, even though we didn't call ourselves African then. But that's our traditional word. So if you go into every African tribe they have a word that they will use for ourselves. And then when you go down, somebody will say, "Well, I'm Yoruba, or I'm a Kai, or I'm this, or I'm that." But there's always a word. We were not just
yeah,
mindless
yeah.
people walking around, don't know who we were.
All right,
Because we
so
always had different,
they
we always
worship
have different
different
tone,
deities.
skin, different.
I'm coming. They worship several deities, right? Like for example, I did some research
Yeah,
on their
yeah,
account.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
did some research on the account people. They even went to Ivory Coast, and the account there was a lady there. What's her name? And she sacrificed her child, to her god,
yeah. Was it? Is it
power the land that she had.
Abna Pokua or something like that? That's the name. I think
Yeah,
Pokua.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You see,
and
yeah,
that's one of the
that,
things that attract people to
the point I
Islam.
want to
Is one
make,
of those things. Yeah,
the
go
Yeah.
point
on,
I want
make
to
your
make
point.
is those people.
Hey,
Make it
hey
quick.
guys, pass the mic to Reverend Morris, please. Dr. Morris, go ahead, Dr. Morris.
Okay.
Dr. Morris.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So, just want to talk about my book too. It took me 24 years to put my research together. In collaboration with Car Genesis, Kala. I always had conversation with him about Liberia. We even met in Liberia at one point. For his I believe it was your wedding. You got
Yeah,
married,
wedding.
right?
We're having another one. We got a wedding, but we didn't get the certificate. We want to do it in America.
Uh,
But when I get there in a month or so, are you going there this year? I'll be there in March again.
I might. We'll
Yeah,
see what
go in
happens.
March,
So,
man. You know I'm there every March. I got a house there now. You come out my crib, you know. Yeah, so
wonderful,
yeah, so you stay.
wonderful.
You can crash in my crib. You need to, you know. So
Yeah.
basically, we got a big 53-inch TV now. And when
Oh wow.
it's stacked. So you got playing room. Make yourself at home. You know, nice
Uh,
furniture, everything, marble floor, beautiful.
oh my goodness, man, you
Yeah,
doing
I'm living
big.
it up, man. I'm serious about this Liberia life, man. I ain't playing. You know. So anyway,
Wonderful, bro.
yeah, we met to you came to my wedding, but not a wedding. But now we're gonna have
Yeah, it's like an engagement.
it wasn't
I
a
would say
wedding.
wedding with
It
engagement.
wasn't.
Yeah,
We didn't do it
engagement
illegal.
wedding.
You know, this time we're
Yeah,
gonna get the certificate and just do it. Same thing. We're gonna do the same thing all over again. But we're gonna do it
yeah.
this time. We're gonna put just do it because we ain't gonna wait till because I get her now, man. She's like, I don't think she really wants to come. Before it was like, oh, when she comes to America now, she's living good in America. I might just help her start a little business over there. We got the crib, so she, Liberia's like, look, Dinus. Liberia's approving so much, she's not bothering about coming to America anymore, you know?
Oh wow.
So that's tells you things are going good. I know this other guy here will tell you things were better on the way. Where's when he was president, and I like George Weah. I like George Weah. I really do. I think he's one of my heroes, right? But
No, no,
presidential
no.
material, no. You know?
I'm not a supporter of Joshua. I'm not a fan of
Okay.
Joshua. I'm a fan
So
of Joseph
it's the
Boyka.
All
whole
right,
thing. You
guys,
look,
we're trying to get away from the
let me say something, young
I'm trying to get away
brother.
from the politics, but
What you
quickly.
guys got to do, you
Um,
native people got to do, is get yourself some sort
yeah.
of skill and vocational focus and leave politics and history and all that stuff alone. Because you're not going to get any
So
place
yeah. So
full of
so
And
anger
I
quickly,
and
let
think
me
you
lay
need.
out.
I think
Listen.
you need to do that, not me,
Good.
because
I'm
I
living
have.
my
Hello.
best
Can you
life,
guys hear
man. I
me?
don't need to do all that, you know?
You need to do that, not me, because I think
Hello.
I have more right.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Sando, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah. So It was back in 2003. I have give my life to Jesus Christ. I was living a really rough life in New Jersey. I almost went to jail for 35 years for a crime I didn't commit. That woke me up into the prayers of my mother. So I went to a school, a biblical school. It's called Zion Bible College. That was back in Rhode Island. So my freshman year, um, um, my professor basically, because it's in my preface. I put it in the preface of my book. So one day she mentioned, she started saying, Samuel Morris. Samuel Morris. So everyone kept looking around to find, to see who Samuel Morris was. But there was no Samuel Morris in the class. It's Sando, right? She said, Samuel, come get your quiz. So then I got up and I went and got the quiz. So everyone said, but who is Samuel? And then so she looked in my direction. She said, Samuel, um, I know your name is Sando, but you remind me of an African evangelist, Samuel Morris. And so he says Samuel came from Liberia in the 1800s. No passport, nothing. So that intrigued me. I didn't know who Samuel Morris was. So I went back in my dorm and I searched up the name Samuel Morris. And Samuel Morris just opened up a whole floodgate of Liberia's history. For the 4 years I was on campus, I studied Liberia. I basically just went to the Library of Congress. I searched Liberia. I uncovered so much on Liberia. Even went out to do my master's. I searched Liberia. I got archive records, letters, and things like that. So for the last 20 something years, I did so much research on Liberia. And then by 2021, I decided to write on Liberia. So from 2021, I've been writing on Liberia, and I just completed my book. So these are some of the things that I discovered on Liberia. One, Liberia is a global story. It's not just an isolated event. So I got letters from guys like Thomas Jefferson, Monroe. I came in contact with a scholar. The scholar was his name is Archibald, right? Alexander Archibald. He wrote in the 1800s, 1816. That's when he wrote. And his book is not an easy read. His book is for scholars. Guys like PJ. His name is PJ. PJ's Starrier. He was one of the guys wrote on the American Colonization Society. He's a top-notch scholar. Most scholars knows about him. I also read guys like Claude. He's also one of the more top scholars on Liberia, on West Africa, basically the American Colonization Society and all of the transatlantic slave trade. Guys like you got guys like Christopher Fryer. I know there's a guy on the line just now. His name is he's from Sierra Leone, so he wrote an extensive work on Sierra Leone. So basically, those are the top heavyweight scholars that I look up to come up with this. So I basically just synthesized my work, and here's some of the things that I discovered. One, it was during the Civil War, right? That the United States basically decided that a lot of the slaves were revolting against. It was like a civil disobedience and things like that. So a lot of the slaves had migrated and went to Nova Scotia. So in Nova Scotia, they had a community there. So, but prior to some of the slaves going down there, you have some Africans that were taken by the British and the French, because Canada was controlled by British and French. So you have Nova Scotia, which is called the New Scotland. So a lot of them met there. These runaway slaves, they were called the Poor Blacks. So the Poor Blacks find themselves in Nova Scotia, and
Well,
then
real
along with
quick,
some of the
a part of the
quickly.
Nova Scotia conversation comes from blacks who align themselves with the British, right, to
Yes,
fight for their
I'll get there. I'll
freedom.
get there.
All right,
You're
He's
correct.
I'm with
talking
you.
I'll
about
get
he's
there.
talking
I'm with
about
you.
my Creole people in Freetown,
Okay,
and
so
that's what I was saying earlier.
I
I
will
think
get there. I'll get there.
I already ran. I think I already narrate that some of that
So
earlier,
so
so
so so
that
you
might
had
save you a bit of time.
okay. So in Nova Scotia, they met there. So these poor blacks, they were called poor black. You're actually correct. They aligned themselves with the British. They fought for the British, and then the British promised them land and other things. So and then you also had the Maroons. The Maroons also fought with against the British. I'm just going to summarize it, but I have a whole details, a whole chapter. So the Maroons also fought. So by like 1792, the Maroons have they basically not gained their independence. Um, some historians said that the British had the upper hand, and some historians say that it was a draw. So whatever the case is, I just synthesize it. Um, they negotiated. The British negotiated with the Maroons to bring them to Nova Scotia. So in Nova Scotia, you had there was a governor. Governor, he basically took these Maroons and tried to Christianize them. Give them Christian names and so forth. But the condition, it was too cold for them. It was very cold. They were not familiar with the terrain and stuff like that. But the Maroons were more community. They had a system of government. Um, some historians suggested that the tactic of warfare, they have mm, gained that from Upper Guinea. There was a place called Upper Guinea, which is Guinea-Bissau. Um, this is where they got the tactic, but they were very, very, very they were
That's
military
my
genius.
ancestors.
Okay, so the
I can tell you
Maroons.
the guy that led it if you want. He's a Fulani guy. It's Bubakar
Okay,
Biro,
so
and yeah.
let me quickly. Let me just summarize it. So now the Poor Blacks, they basically was sent back to Sierra Leone. It wasn't called Sierra Leone. So I basically kind of like I didn't lay the foundation for Sierra Leone. I'm just summarizing. I don't want to go into all the detail.
Yeah,
Summarizing.
they did
I would have
the Black
I would have laid the
British.
foundation for Sierra Leone, how it came about. The original name for Sierra Leone was called Pinto. It was called Pinto. Um,
Mm,
Written by a guy called Christopher Fryer. He's one of the heavyweight on Sierra Leone. So he lay out the community, the Bolan people, the Timini people, that community. I cited all of that. Um,
yeah,
but then prior to the Maroon, the Poor Blacks coming there. So, but the British negotiated for these individuals to go there, and I lay out the names, some of the heavyweight names. Granville Sharp, he was one of the guys who advocated
yeah,
for these individuals to go. And so
right.
these individuals went to Sierra Leone. They built Freetown with their own hands. They did build Freetown. So when they established Freetown, there was a scrimmage between the British and the French. So the French got really upset with the British, and they came. The first Freetown was burned down. It was burned down in 1792. So they burned it
Yeah,
down, and then they had to build it again. The Poor Black, bear in mind, the Poor Blacks were the first one. The Poor Blacks are basically African Americans. So then they brought in
right.
the Maroons. The Maroons and the Poor Blacks together built Freetown for the second time. So they built Freetown for the second time, but there were always this disagreement between the Poor Blacks and the Maroons. The Maroons believed that they had a structure. They couldn't integrate with other groups. So basically, there was just this disagreement between the Poor Blacks and the Maroons. So then I also had it was called the British Crown. They came in to settle this dispute, and then the Timini was angry because they believed that they owned the land. The Timini started a war with the Maroon. It was a bloody one. The Maroon almost wiped out the Timini people. And so, yeah, I just laid the foundation for Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone is
Yeah.
30 years in the making before Liberia. Prior
Yeah.
to Liberia,
Thank you.
you had Thomas Jefferson basically was stating that they needed to find a place for blacks. And basically, he came up with the idea, but he didn't fulfill it. Um, he didn't have the political will. So some of the negotiation that they had, like Ohio was one of the places that he wanted the blacks to go, and so they can have their own community there. But Ohio had the Indians, the Native Americans was in Ohio, and then one guy that also took up the mantle was Samuel Hopkins. So Hopkins is in Rhode Island. He was a slave owner too. So he basically, he became a preacher and he got rid of his slaves. Two slaves that he had was Bristol Yama. The guy's called Bristol Yama. And then the other young man. So he basically took them and basically sent them to England for training. They were prince when they came to America to learn how to learn the ways of the Western world, and then to go back. So back in my Carla was correct. At that time, the slave trade was still going on. So slave ended in 1805 to William Wilberforce. He was instrumental in
in Europe.
1805, 1807.
Right.
About 1807, slave trade. They were talking about anyone who was caught with a slave ship, basically was to
To death.
take all the captures Africans that was on that ship to take it away. It was a crime basically by 1807. But
What was it?
the
What was the
British.
Nigerian doing? What was the Nigerian
Say
doing
that
at
again.
at that same time? What was the
Say that again.
Nigerians doing at that same time? What was the
No.
Nigerians doing? Yeah.
I have a
Nothing.
Did
question
you hear
for
me?
Dynasty.
So
I
Nigeria,
have a question for you.
No,
there wasn't nothing called Nigeria.
no, but the Nigerians were
There was
selling
nothing called
slaves.
Nigeria.
Even yeah, but they were selling slave after slavery was abolished, right?
So it wasn't Nigeria. So you have Benin
No.
and Lagos. So Lagos
Yes.
is a port.
Yeah.
Lagos
Lagos.
is a
Yeah. It
port
was a
of the Portuguese. The Portuguese had a port called Lagos.
was it
So
was the epicenter of it.
it was Benin. Benin. No. So the Portuguese was 200 years within the slave trade. 200 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the point I was trying to say. That's the point I was trying to make. The western area of Nigeria, where you Lagos is and Benin and that region and
yeah. So
Togo.
Benin it was
That's
called
what
Benin at the time. It was called Benin at the time, and then you also
like
had
Port
the upper.
Badagry. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Hey,
like Port
Dynasty.
Badagry.
Are you done?
Yeah,
I
no,
want to
yeah,
get
carry on,
to
carry on,
I
Okay.
want to
carry on,
get to
carry
the
on.
All right.
American
All right.
Colonization
So
Society in Nigeria.
um these these two guys, they train them so that they can go back, right? They train Bristol Yama. Samuel Hopkins himself got involved. Went to meet with Greenville Sharp. They had a conversation, and Greenville Sharp basically gave him information about how he was able to get the poor blacks to go to Sierra Leone. So then Samuel Hopkins got involved. He basically um, laid the groundwork. Bristol Yama, and there was another guy called Ezra Style. He's also was an African, captive African that was in the States. So Ezra Style, they all go back. And then you had Ebenezer and Samuel Mills. Ebenezer and Samuel Mills. Ebenezer goes to Gambia. He did research. He was a missionary. When he did some research on Africa, he went to Gambia, started a school, did some missionary work there. So he got connected with a guy called Samuel Mills. So Reverend Samuel Mills. They go to Sierra Leone to look at Sierra Leone as a model, right? They look at Sierra Leone as a model. I left out another guy for a purpose, for a reason. So there was another guy called John Kizzle. So John Kizzle was a young man who was stolen from Sierra Leone. His uncle basically sold him. He landed in South Carolina. in Carolina. He was in Carolina, and then but during the Civil War, basically he escaped and went to Nova Scotia. So he, along with the Poor Blacks, went back to Sierra Leone. So he was a giant. Um, if you're Sierra Leone, you might know who John Kizzle is. The brother from Sierra Leone, do you know who John Kizzle is?
They call him Big John.
I used to see Big John. I used to see it on a like a this app drawings and stuff like that, and on also on different cartoon characters. When I was young, his image was there.
Yeah.
So John
Yeah,
John
Kizzle
Kizzle,
is a legend.
he's almost talked about in Liberian history.
Yeah, he was spot on. You were spot on about Sierra Leone. I totally got you. And
I mean, you would benefit a lot from my
even me,
book
I'm
because
learning.
I lay out Sierra Leone in a way where I lay out Sierra
Yes.
Leone. You can't understand anything
Yes.
about Liberia unless you know something about Sierra Leone. So
Sierra
some of the
Leone.
historians, some of
Simple
the
as
books
that.
that I read.
John Kizzle was also a part of Liberian history as well.
Nah, John
Yeah,
Kizzle had
but
nothing to do
what
with
my brother
Liberia
is
though. But
no
one second,
people don't understand. People don't
John Kizzle
understand
had
the
nothing to
relevance
do with
of.
Liberia.
See,
So John,
the black world do not understand the importance of Sierra Leone, and the longer they abandon the country to rot, the more the black race and its influence
yeah, but
in the Anglo-Saxon world will not
country
will
Sierra
become
Leone was a
irrelevant.
contradiction. It was a contradiction.
Yes,
With
it is.
the
But
British,
we
the
were
British
very
crown, the British
yeah.
crown, basically
Mm.
had that view on Sierra Leone. It was a field, basically, it was a field project.
Yeah, do you know what?
Because you,
Even the what the late one of the Princess of Wales, she died in she got buried on a landslide in I think on Leicester Peak, somewhere up there, up in one of
yeah.
the mountains, because she wanted to take over the
So
entire Africa.
do
She wanted to
I
take it.
kind of
Yeah.
I left out the foundation of Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone is about 1,000 years. I laid out, I documented that it was 1,000 years. So
Yeah.
Sierra Leone was connected to
Mm.
the Ghana Empire. The Ghana Empire is
Yeah.
not Ghana. It's modern day Mauritania.
Yeah, of course. Ouagadougou,
So it's not.
Ouagadougou,
So
Mauritania.
yeah.
Yeah, is it? That's what I was talking about. Me and the
Sierra
sister was
Leone
talking
and
about
Guinea.
earlier.
Sierra Leone and Guinea. I documented Sierra Leone and Guinea for 1,000 years. They were
Same
part
people,
of
same country.
yeah. They
Ghana.
were part of
Now wait, let me ask.
the
So John
Mm.
Kizzle, how did he connect
yes.
with the American Colonization Society? Because he worked directly
So
with
John
them.
Kizzle, basically, one
Go ahead.
second. John Kizzle was in Sierra Leone when Samuel Mill and Ebenezer went there. They went there to do an observation. They observed Sierra Leone to look at the model for Liberia, what would become Liberia. Basically,
All right.
they get the documentation. They start a school, and so um, and when they got there, they had a guy called no. So they met with John Kizzle, and there was a guy called Martin, Mr. Martin. Most historians refer to him as Mr. Martin. So Mr. Martin, and then you had the king of the island. He was called King Shebarel. And so Samuel Mill and Ebenezer, the documentation was basically, they were saying that Africa, negotiation for land in Africa, the Western view on Africa, the Western needs to adjust to the tradition, the culture, basically. They don't just going to come there and just get a land. Africans' view of the land, they believe in sovereignty of the land. And so before anything happened, they got to consult with the deity. I know somebody was talking about African, spiritualization and all of that.
Religions.
They had to
Yeah,
consult with the
that's right.
deity. So the king basically was viewed as like a god figure. So the land was sovereign. They didn't sell land. They basically gave land for temporary condition. But the Western, well, especially the ACLs, they had different voices. It was a lot of different
So,
voices, different players.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, my brother. I'm so sorry to cut you off. But do you know it's still similar system in Sierra Leone in outside Freetown? The chief actually still are in control of the land, and they give it to you in condition. They can
I
take
have
it
a
from you
question,
anytime.
right? Like
So
learning.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry to interrupt you. No, let
you
him.
had the
Conversation, I want to ask
Boulons.
you a
Let him
question.
finish.
You had the
No, let
Bulan
him
tribe, the
finish.
Bulans,
I wanted to
the
ask about
Bulans.
Sherbo land.
So King Sherbro, he was the king of the island. And so
Yes.
when Samuel Mill and Ebenezer took they basically wrote extensively, but one of them didn't make it. The other one came back. And also, I didn't have a chance to just lay out what the American Colonization Society was, the founding, the major players behind it, different voices. That was, what I mean, you have a lot of contradiction with the different voices with the American Colonization Society. And so they brought that report. So based on that report, you had 186 immigrants, basically from Pennsylvania. And the guy who took them was
Virginia.
Samuel
Yeah.
Bacon. So Samuel Bacon was the one who took them. They traveled to New York. That's what they took. They took them from New York, and then they took like almost 4 months to land in Sierra Leone. They landed. One of the guy that was on that ship was Daniel Coker. Daniel Coker, he was one of the
Okay.
founders of the American. It was called the African Episcopal. It was the Methodist Church, the AME. So Coker was a vital. He was very instrumental on that ship. So he played a leadership role. Coker landed, started schools and things like that. But it was based on the report from the two guys, Ebenezer and Samuel Mill. So later on, you see that Millsburg in Liberia was named after the two guys. So Millsburg, Samuel Mill, and Ebenezer Budget. They took the two names and combined those two names together. You get Millsburg. So those two guys, they were scholars.
And they
They
were
took
sent by Paul Cuffey. Can't forget Cuffey.
no, Paul Coffey was not. Paul Coffey, his idea was stolen by Robert Finley. So his idea was the formation of the American Colonization Society. While Paul Coffey himself,
Again,
he
they give
disagreed. He had a lot of disagreement with the American Colonization Society. But he was one of the guys that laid the foundation for the American Colonization Society. So they had four
Paul
different
Coffey had
views.
passed away. He had passed away.
Yeah.
And,
Paul Coffey, he did travel to go to Sierra Leone. Actually,
yeah. But
Paul
he passed
Coffey
away
went to Sierra Leone.
before Liberia was thought of.
Yeah. He didn't see that. He didn't see the founding of it.
But
But
he was instrumental in
Yeah.
connecting
All
the
of that,
people that were
He was.
surveying the land.
He was.
Yeah.
Finley, who said, like, let me give you an example where we see history repeating itself. The idea of returning to Africa, Sandra will tell you, is probably the oldest ideology in Black America. It goes back all the way to the 1600s, where Black people first got education and said, wait a minute, what the hell are we are? And they thought about it. We need to return to our land. So that was 200 years in the making before Sierra Leone, even Liberia. They was already talking about that. But what happened was with Liberia was, what was talked about among Black people and implemented by some Black person who could act on it, like Paul Coffey in Sierra Leone, right, was picked up by a white man and introduced to the white political machine. And that's what got the ball rolling. But the idea that
The Negro problem. They
I won't
wanted to
bash
get rid
what's
of
the
us.
name
The
though.
Negro problem. They wanted to get rid of us
Yeah,
in
they wanted to get rid
America.
of the Negro problem. They said, look, we
So
found that there's some Black people who are willing to do this, right? So that's
This is a
what
good
happened.
bill. Yep. I'm with
no,
y'all.
just so Africa at that time, they couldn't send Blacks to Africa at that time. So the Sierra Leone project was it was a bold and daring project for the British. But with the United States, they never really envisioned that they were going to send Black people to. I listed all the different sites, all the different geography that they wanted to send Blacks, and then the terminology that they use. And I listed all the different voices that spoke against it. Like you got a guy like Walker, Reverend Walker. You got has like Frederick Douglass. There were a lot of
So,
blacks that were
my brother, great point that you be making. I absolutely enjoying it, and I do some loads of what you said, and there's some actually I have learned from it from you tonight. Okay, but
well,
also
you get
let's
my
not
book,
just make
man.
it.
Get my book.
Yeah,
My book
yeah,
is
yeah. I will.
You have a
466
link,
pages.
Sando, you have a link.
Hey, what's the link to? You got a
Okay.
link for it?
Yeah, send it. Send.
Say that again.
Hey,
But the
guys.
link.
So Kala is 26 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
Guys,
man.
stop being Negroes and go and subscribe to
And
the Kala. I
We're
mean,
not even
stop
asking for a
being.
super chat, you know.
Exactly. And we got the great historians in
All right.
here tonight. So
So
Yeah.
so
Why
Go,
does it
guys.
have
If
to
you
be
have
the
let me
not,
move
Negroes?
on. Let me move on to Liberia. Let me
I'll
move on to
subscribe
Liberia.
right now. Why does it have to be the Negroes?
Let
I'll
me ask you a question.
Let me
subscribe.
move on to Liberia.
Right? I'm connected
So
with
yeah,
some
so so my brother,
scholars. I'm connected with
my
yeah,
brother
some.
from
yeah.
my
Before
brother
you
from
go,
Sierra Leone.
yes, my brother, I'm listening.
So let me move on to Liberia. So the 186. It was 186 individuals that went. Um, and then you have Samuel Bacon, and there was another guy on there. His name is
Elijah Johnson.
no Elijah Johnson. Yeah, Elijah Johnson was Elijah
Hey,
Johnson was on that.
Dr. Moore. Sorry to cut you off. I got to read these super chats real quick.
Okay.
Ben Gibson 9621. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Emma B Squad Gaming 7244. Thank you for $2 holla. Islam is the worst. I find Muslims really mean. And Ja and Zola, thank you for $4.99 holla. Please mention how Samuel Doe conspired with the CIA to overthrow William Tolbert. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just try to summarize because it's so much. It's so much. So yeah. So
They just gotta have you back
landed
on.
in Sierra Leone. So they're in Sierra Leone. They're in Sierra Leone, 186. Sam.
Now,
Reverend
let
Coke.
me ask you about that. Was
Yeah.
Cuffy involved in that founding of Sierra Leone?
There's not a historical document that shows that Paul Coffey was involved with Sierra Leone. There was no. I haven't found anything historical records to show that he was. It was solely the British. The British basically just established Sierra Leone to the two groups that
So
was
this
involved with
project,
the full blacks.
there was Sierra Leone and there was Freetown, two different missions. You know.
So Sierra Leone was already there. So
Yeah.
the Portuguese have already discovered Sierra Leone. It was called Pinto. Our first time it was called Pinto. I lay out all the different tribes that was on the
And and
land at the time.
and,
So this is like the
Sarah the Loa.
1400s. So the
Yeah,
1400s. So you had the Timonese were already there. The Boulons, you got the Boulons people were there. They were jostling for positions. The Timonese controlled the
there's one
island,
tribe you
the
haven't
area, the
mentioned.
water.
There's one. Sorry. Is it for
Um,
us in Sierra
the
Leone? It's not. It's
Fulanis
like
was
a
already there
disrespect.
too.
No,
The Fulani was
no,
there.
no. The
Uh,
Limba tribe you haven't
Fulanis
mentioned.
would the Fulanis
But
arrived. They came there.
yeah, no,
I
the
also
Fulani
lay out.
were there because of they was there because that was attached to the land called
Because of
Guinea
the
and
British.
some part of the
So
north. So when it was carved, those tribes that inside
the
the
two
country
tribes, the
became part
first
of it.
two tribes,
But
Sir,
the
one
first
second.
two tribes were the Limba. That's what I'm trying to say.
The
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 Limba
Limba.
Limba
Then
was
you
tribe.
had
already
the
there.
Timonese and the Boulons. The
No,
Timonese and
no,
the Boulons people.
but the
All right.
Limba, the
Wait,
Timini came to Guinea as well.
one
But
second,
wait, weren't the
No,
one second,
Limba
please. One
let me
already
second.
just
in
correct.
that area?
The
The
Limbas
lim,
came
the
later.
Limba,
So
they're the
you had the
native. No,
Timonese.
no, no, no,
Oh
no,
boy.
no, 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 no.
No.
You got it
So
totally wrong.
I'm
No, I
giving you
disagree. I disagree.
okay,
I
so
disagree
I want you
because
to cite
okay, one
your
second.
listen, one second, guy.
Mm,
I'm not
mm.
here to like debate.
Yeah, we know the Limba are the
One of the
and the Bulong.
foremost but guy,
The Limba and the
please.
Bulong are the
Can I
native of
finish
Sierra
though? Can
Leone
I finish
before
though?
everything.
Can I finish? You can come
Okay,
in.
yes,
You can come in later.
yeah.
Can I finish
Sorry.
please? I don't want to
Yes,
turn
of
this thing
course.
into a yeah, please. Um so for what I discovered, one of the foremost historian, right? Christopher Fry. He's one of the best historians. You can go to Oxford University. His work is word documented, word cited. He basically linked the Boulan. You got guys like Archibald, right? Alexander Archibald. He wrote in the 1800s, 1816. He's a top historian for Princeton University. They cited all two of them
Is
cited
it is
the
it a black is it a
Buran
black guy? Is
and
it
the
a black guy?
Timothy,
Is
bro.
Ojibwe a black guy? Is
God,
Ojibwe a
I
black
don't
guy?
want to go about
Sorry.
colors, bro. Let's leave about the colors thing, please. I'm talking about historical work. Historical work had nothing to do with color. It has to do with the historical method. You know what I mean? So let's leave out the color, your skin and whatnot. And bear in mind, Africans didn't have historian. Like we didn't have any historical writings and things like that.
Documenting these things.
The
I'm with you.
documents that was what was handed down, it was oral tradition by
I'm
the
with you.
people called the griots. The griots were even selective, very selective. The selective kings. They told stories about the kings. I left out some of the legends out with Sondiata Keita, all the different, you know what I mean? I left out some of the stuff there because they were all legends. They are told by the
The
griots.
greats.
The griots were basically were the one that told oral tradition. Nothing was written down until you get to Timbuktu, when the Arabs have invaded basically the Ghanaian Empire, and they left that mark. And then most of the people from the Ghanaian Empire went to Senegal. And around the Senegal, this is where they settled, and then the infiltration of Islam. They brought Islam with them, and then you had the Mali Empire, and then the Songhai Empire. But I left all that. I got a whole chapter. I got like almost 5-6 different chapters on there to lay the whole foundation on that. But let me move on to Sierra Leone. So I
Before
was
you
in
move
Sierra
on,
Leone.
yeah. Before you move on, I apologize.
Drop the link in
There's
the
one.
back
There's
chat because I'm interested in the
yeah.
book.
Before you yeah. So in Sierra Leone, the Limba tribe and the Bulong,
The Limba
they
came
are
in
the
later. The Limba came
no
in later,
no no
bro.
no
Okay,
no no. The Limba. Okay.
let's move on. Let's move on. Let me move on,
Okay.
bro. Let me
Okay.
move on.
But
And
wait a
also,
minute. That's why
All right,
I
yeah.
asked
let's
that
move on, bro.
question because I knew there was some
Yeah.
contention there from what I've
Yeah.
studied. So I
Yeah,
was
Yes.
curious
Because
let's
the
about
move
that.
on.
Limbas are
The
the Limbas. Because
Limba
let me just make sure.
claim, but Limba. I'm talking about the historical document that we have. Even
But
on what's his
I'm
name?
talking.
Even what's the name?
Bro. I'm
I don't
talking
know where
from
you're
me
getting
as a West
your. Can you
African.
cite any? Can you cite any? I don't want to like oral
Oh,
tradition or whatever.
well,
Can you
okay.
cite
I
any historian, major historian that
you
stated
see,
that?
okay. You see, my mother is
All right,
Mandinka, which
but
is
let's leave your mom. You know what I mean? I can do the same
no,
thing.
but
I
just
can do the same thing.
and my
I'm
father
looking
is
for
Fulani. So
credible
I'm just saying
historian. Credible
we do
historian,
no,
bro. I
we
don't want
don't
you to just
well,
give your
I
opinion
don't
here, bro. Can I move on,
this is
please?
no
Can I move
opinion.
on,
No, yeah,
bro?
before you
Can
go,
I move on?
this is of course
Yeah,
you can of course. One
can I
second
move on, bro? Sir,
before you move on,
bro,
that in West Africa we did
sir.
not rely on Western
Can I finish up,
written. We only
please?
wrote
You
our
can
own
come in. You can
history.
come in and talk about your what you call it. I'm not dealing with or history. You know what I mean? Although it is needed at times, you can
A
cite oral
written
history at
history.
times, but oral history basically you had to go to the time period as closer to the time period. You know what I mean? We use the historical method to determine what is factual. You know what I mean? You can't cite oral history almost 500 to 600 years. There's no credibility to it. It has to be
No,
really
no.
close.
Can I just say
Um,
something? I'll
so
disagree with you on the oral history
okay,
that
so
you
you can
said you
disagree. Can I
cannot
move on,
cite
please?
it.
Let me give my presentation.
Yeah, but
You can
I
disagree.
disagree with you to
So
say
You
you
can't
can
keep
come
you
in
going
saying
later. You
that
can come,
oral
sir.
history
Can
cannot be
you
before,
cited.
but you need
No,
to
I
be
never
corrected
said
if you're
that.
going to
I
be
never
writing
said
this as
that.
a book.
I never
If you're
said
going to be
that.
writing in Sierra
Good. I never
Leone,
said
yeah,
that. Listen to me,
in
please. Can
Sierra
you
Leone
guys
you're
calm down with this
99%
contention,
right.
please? But who
No,
is
but
this
it's
guy?
not. You just got to be factual. It's me. It's
Oh man,
Africa.
God.
Okay.
Y'all
Can
just
you
talking over
please? Can
each
you
other, man.
please?
Go
Let
ahead,
me.
man.
I'll give you a chance. Can you please?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I
Go
never
go on. Don't
told
be
you
too
that
long though. Thank
oral
you.
history cannot be used. I said oral history can be used closer to the time period. Anything over 500 to 600 years is not reliable because of the transmission. You cannot
That's
have
how the
memories that
Western that is how
five to
the
six hundred
Westerners
years. You can
interpret
listen.
it, but we don't interpret
Well,
it like that. No.
Western, what you call it?
We've
Can
been
you
writing our history way before the British and any other English people.
So
It's
there's
written
no
down. It's in
historical
Timbuktu
record
in Mali.
survive.
So
No
so here's the
historical.
If you
thing,
go,
right?
Africans
There's
did not
if you
write
go to
anything.
Mali,
OHIM documented
Africans did
if you
not
go
write
to
anything.
hold
Mali,
on really quick.
if you go to
There's
Mali,
oral
you see
history
it.
and documented history that talks about the Limba people being some of the groups of slaves that were sent to America, right? So a
Yeah.
portion of
So
this is
Limba.
documented.
Um. Right. So here's the thing now. We're talking about Sierra Leone, the tribes that came from that made it to Sierra Leone. So you got to go back to Gambia. You go back to Gambia. So Gambia is one of the I cited some of the tribes. I cited the Wolof people. I'll give a description of their dialect, what they spoke. So look at this guy called John Bender Samuel. He's a linguist. So that's not in the field of history. It's in the field of
Linguistics.
anthropologists.
Right.
So these are the people that will tell you this tribe belongs to this place. This is where they came from, the origin, based on linguistic, right?
So are you saying that
Dialects
Oh
and
the
stuff
God, we
like
are
that.
nicer
wait,
I
Congo
did
let me
people.
cite.
We
ask
are
you
I
a
did
nicer
cite.
Congo
question.
people.
Hold on,
Oh,
We are
hold
go
in
ahead.
on.
Sierra Leone. Most
I
of
have a
them
simple
in Sierra
question.
Leone linguistically. No,
Are you
and
saying
in
that the
Sierra Leone we are
Limba people
linguistically.
weren't are you saying that the Limba people weren't some of the earliest documented indigenous, right? For a
Wait,
lack
so
of a better term,
Limber can
people
arrive
to
later.
Sierra
The Limber
Leone.
people arrive later. So you
The
have the
the
Portuguese, the
Limba
Portuguese
people
historian.
and the
God,
Bullard.
oh man,
Man,
oh
because
man. Dude,
you're
can
doing
you
so
just
well,
allow
bro.
me to
But
just finish talking about it without interrupting me though?
because it annoys me when
This
you
is very
talk too,
rude, man.
man.
You just keep
Let,
interrupting though.
let him finish. We will have a few questions
I'm
to
trying
ask
to hear.
him.
I'm trying to hear the guy. Don't interrupt him.
Yeah, bro, you keep interrupting, man.
Yeah, but when you finish, we would like to ask you a few
Okay,
questions
And
so
you
because
you
got
can
time
you
is
Sam,
can
but
when I'm done, you can ask all
you
the
gotta let him
questions.
finish.
You can have all the
Reverend
questions,
Dr.
right?
Morris, you got 2 minutes,
So
please. Don't interrupt
Oxford
him.
University, in Oxford University, you have a guy called John Samuel Bender. So John Samuel Bender, he was missionary back in the 1700s. He went to Africa. He basically cited all the different tribes based on linguistic, and then put them in a category. So you can look at guys like that. I'm a historian. You know what I mean? So you can go look him up. You can put his name in there right now. You'll find him. Google him, you'll see him. And basically just look at his work. He did a fantastic work to basically just put all the tribes in the category. Mandi speaking people. So Mandi was the Amendi was the language they spoke. So you got the Suniki people, you got the Mendinka people. They all spoke Mandi or Mendi, whatever you can say. So look him up. He'll tell you. I also cited him um, the early migration of the tribes that went to Sierra Leone. I documented that when they arrived and so forth. And so I want to focus on how Liberia came in. Can I do that in maybe like 2 or 3 minutes?
You can, but really quick. So when did the
Okay.
Limba people get there if you're saying they weren't already in
Well,
Please let me come back after you.
if I can interject, from what I'm told about Sierra Leone, the Limba people were like the original people that were there.
Right. That's where I was going with it.
Well,
Darren, you can see why I got headache now, right? Because it's like
okay.
this guy is telling
So
me
I'm
stories.
Yeah,
saying I'm
and like
saying
I'm and like this is being shared by like the actual monuments and relics and Ministry of Tourism historical societies in Sierra Leone. I was just there I was there last month, and it's the Limba are already there. The Mende are part of the Mande people from Mali. So, but
Wara
go
Wara
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Mountains. Yep.
okay.
The Mane
All
children.
right. So like I said, I have two historical giants that I cited, right? You can look at Christopher Fry. You can also look at Archibald. They lay out and then also cited the Portuguese historian who was the commander to Pedro de Sintra. So Pedro de Sintra, who was the first guy, he landed there with his commander. They documented. They gave even the city. They gave the layout of the city. They gave the original name of the place. It was called Pinto at the time. The layout, um, um, the individuals that in these different villages, the layout, they gave out the culture and all of that. So it's well cited. Limba people came. There is a debate whether or not at what period they came in. There is a scholarly debate on what time period they came in. But the Portuguese came in contact with the Timini people and the Bulan people. So the citing Portuguese historian.
That
These are the
that wouldn't be
first
true
group of
because
people that they came
the
in contact
Sharper
with.
people The Shabro people of Sierra Leone are the one that are actually at the coast. They're the coastal people. So they would have been in
Yeah,
contact with
but
the
they
Shabro
they
They would
people.
have been the
basically
first
they
one they
fought
would
they
run
fought with
into.
the Bulan
The
people.
Limba
They
people were a mountain people. They lived in
Exactly. Thank you. In the
right,
valleys
yeah,
and stuff like
right.
they
that.
would they
The
they
valley people.
lived in a harder to reach portion of Sierra Leone. They were a mountain people. I think it's like Warra or something like that. I can't.
Wara Wara and Kabbalah. There's
Right,
no area, there's no
right,
town, there's no place you ain't gonna
right.
find Limba
Correct.
people in Sierra
So
Leone.
when the Portuguese
You're
came
not
in,
gonna go
they would
anywhere
have
in
had a
Sierra Leone
hard
you don't find
time.
Limba.
Right. So when the Portuguese came in, they would have had a hard time meeting these people in any way because they weren't
Yeah,
going
so the
that deep.
Portuguese Ivy Fernandez, he cited when he came in contact the group of people he met first. The people he met, he cited the Timini people, and he basically gave out a town. The towns, he named the towns. So for the population of the town, all of that is cited in the historical record. You're talking about
What?
in the
Right, but he
1400s.
doesn't talk about going into the
So you talk
mountainous
about in the
region.
1400s, bro. We're talking about the 1400s.
Right, but hear what
This
I'm
is a
saying,
mute
bro.
point.
He
All right.
doesn't talk about going into the mountainous region,
Well,
right?
the
Most of
Portuguese,
the
the
things that the
Portuguese came
Portuguese,
in contact. The Portuguese came in contact with Sierra Leone. They named the place Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone means,
Lion
the
Mountain.
range of mountains.
Lion Mountain. Mm.
So they travel all over the place. They were looking for gold. So
with
when
the
they came in
Europeans.
in the 1400s, they were looking for gold, but they didn't find
Yeah.
none. And so they built forts, and basically like the fortification. They traveled. They left Sierra Leone. They went to a place that they call Cape Mom. Cape Mom is in Liberia today. They named the place Cape Mom. They also traveled and went to a place called Cape Palmers. They named the place Cape Palmers.
Cape
That was that
Palmas,
trade route.
correct,
This is how they tried, and then
correct.
went back. So I don't want to waste my time on that, bro. This is just a mute point. Who arrived first? Who
But
didn't arrive
you
first? I
are
just
right
cited
in
basically the historical record.
you're right in a lot of things, but there's tiny bit of thing. I'll say like 5%, less than
Well,
5% of what you said
I
that might not be
based
right.
on
And
look
that's
at
my
I look at
personal
the
opinion.
historical record. I just look at the
Mm.
historical record. I look at the
No,
best
no.
and the tested.
Let's not get caught up on
I
the
can I
contention.
just
I
Yeah,
understand where the contention comes
I don't want to
from,
waste my
but
time,
let's not get caught up in
bro.
that.
It's a mute
You know,
point.
Yeah, but you
Let's
said
not waste the time. Who arrived first? Who didn't
but
arrive
you
first?
said
The point of the matter
Yeah,
is,
but you said
can
2 minutes,
I just
5 minutes
can I
ago.
just say something regarding
Yeah,
the
please.
Europeans that we often refer to as people of keeping African record? Often they heard
History.
these stories from the
look,
locals,
okay,
right?
all right.
And
This,
Let's not go
also,
with
yeah,
that, bro.
can I
exactly.
just
Because
finish
let's
that,
not.
please?
I
Please, can I
knew
just?
when
I
I was
was
doing
gonna,
this.
Uh,
brother. I
When I was
didn't want
doing
to take
this,
the argument there, but I can understand where she's coming from.
Yes,
wait,
and,
I
and
understand where she's
also,
look.
coming from.
Let me
and also they
let me ask you
often
who you're talking about.
and
Let me
he's
ask
talking
you.
to
Let
the
me ask
wrong
you. What
people.
uh,
historical record was kept in Africa? Give me one.
can I
In
just say
Timbuktu.
something,
You're
please?
talking
Let
to
me
the
just
Fula
finish.
Mandinka Akan
Timbuktu was
people.
actually
Okay,
controlled by the Arabs.
and no, it was. Listen to me. We
Yes,
still write
Timbuktu
our
was
history
the
down.
Arabs.
Can
The
I
Arabs
finish?
came in.
We still
The Arabs brought
we
in
still
writing
write.
system.
We
Africans
yeah
didn't have
we
any
still
writing
write our
system. They
system.
didn't.
All right, let's let
No,
bro
no,
Wrote
let me
our.
finish,
just
and
Are
then
finish.
you
you
Let
got
me
it
kidding
just
back
say
and
me?
forth.
something,
Is
Let
this?
him
please,
finish.
please.
Come on, bro.
Let
Hang
him
on,
Can
finish,
I?
and then you got it back and
no,
forth.
hang on. Hold on a minute. Hang on. Are you actually that silly? Honestly, are you that silly? Have you heard about the Almoravid, the Moors? The Almoravid were nothing
What
without
that got
the
to do with anything,
actual
though? The
ancestors.
Almoravi had nothing to do with keeping records. The
So, so,
Almoravi
so,
was
so, so,
they would.
so
Are
you're
you
telling me,
serious, man, bro?
you are telling
Yo,
me
I spent 24
the Muslim
years
scholars,
of doing history,
can you
man.
just
Come
keep
on,
your
man.
mouth? Can
I'm
you
not
keep
here to
your
play
mouth? Can you
around. I'm
keep,
not a lightweight,
no,
bro.
you
No,
mess,
can I just
when it
advise
comes to
this
African
What
studies,
are
gentleman?
you
you
need to
Let
go
talking
me
back.
just,
about, man?
please, let me just say
No,
Who's the
something.
guy
honestly,
with the
you don't.
opinion, bro?
No,
No, you
Who was the
can't,
if
Almoravi?
you if
Give
honestly.
me
you
one.
are
Give me
if
one.
you
Wait,
are
what
if
time
you
period? One second.
if
One
you're
second. Let me ask you a
talking about
question.
African
What time period
history
you're
and
talking
you
about the
are only
Almoravi? And what do you know about that?
And, well,
the
it doesn't matter.
Almoravids were
Let's just move forward.
Yeah, it
the
does
people that
matter
came from the north.
because you just throwing
It
out a whole
doesn't
bunch of
matter.
names and you have no record. I spent 24
It doesn't
years with this
matter.
with the like either.
You know, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yes, it
matter.
does matter.
People,
It does matter.
the people actually wrote history from the
Well,
Ghana
you
days
think I
of the
just got up
Takru, the
and you think
Ghana
I just
Empire.
got up and
So
I spent hours and
how does it
years of studying. Then you want to come in here and
how
what
Respectfully,
you
old
doing,
bro.
man?
how
You just
old
throwing out
Respectfully,
names.
no
bro.
how
Who
old
was
Right?
the
Like I
Abarat?
have.
how
Hold on,
Let me
can I
ask
bro.
you
ask you a
though. Who was
question?
the
Can I
I
Abarat?
no
have the
this is
Let me
so
ask you
highest
this guy. I
no
want
no
to
level of
challenge you. Who was the
respect.
Abarat?
I
hold on
have the
hold on
highest
hold on hold on
level
hold
of
on
Give me,
hold
give
on
me,
respect
hold
give
for
me where
your
the origin.
scholarship,
The
right? Hear me
Abarati.
out.
on.
Hear me out.
Can
I
I
have the highest level
yeah
of respect for your scholarship, but you did kind
thank
of
you.
dismiss the oral history of these peoples that were documenting things that can be
There was
verified
no
as well.
historical document for
And
for
I
early
becoming a
get
bit
you. I
arrogant
get
about
what
empires.
you're
it.
There's
saying. There
none.
were no books.
There's
I get
none.
that. I get that. But I'm saying
It was
you still
told. It was
can't.
told. It was told. There was legend told by the griots,
No,
the
no,
How
no.
Mali,
how
Hold
old
the
on.
how
Can
old
Soninke
I just
people. They told
correct you
oral
there, please?
tradition.
how
No, no,
old
please,
how
please,
old
Nothing was
please.
written down.
no
No,
no how
please,
old was
please,
it how no hang on
please.
sister how old was it hang on sister how old was the Takuru Kingdom and the Ghana Empire to transatlantic slave trade?
The Ghana Empire
How
did
old
not write anything. They didn't write
how old
anything.
was the Takuru
Uh,
how what about the Takuru what about the Takuru Kingdom?
What about it?
Huh. What they
What
didn't
about
write
it?
anything neither, no? The
Tell
Takuru
Amy,
Kingdom didn't write
give
anything
me any historical record that survived. I can want to give me
from
one that survived.
the
no, let me
Takru
tell you
Go ahead.
Kingdom
Yeah,
something, please.
I just
wrote
asked you a
I have
question.
to,
You
I have to
laughing.
scholars.
say
The
Laughing,
people,
something.
laughing, laughing is not a refutation. Laughing is not a
the
refutation.
people,
Give me
the people,
one. Give me
the
No,
one
scholars,
document that
can
the
I,
survived.
scholars,
Hold on,
can I,
real
yeah,
quick. To the
hold
other
on,
two,
the
to the other
please,
scholars,
let
two,
the
me,
to the
let me
scholars,
sister
also
the
and the
speak,
brother,
scholars,
please.
no,
to the
the
sister and
scholars
the
that you
brother
said
that
they
are
were
making the
Arabs.
other points, right? I really want to hear
Thank
what y'all
you,
have to say.
thank
Let
you,
him
thank you,
land,
sir,
let him
thank you,
finish, and then
thank
I
you,
really want to hear
thank
what
you.
y'all have to say. Let him finish.
Can I
Should I let
just
him
speak,
finish? Yeah.
or who do you want to
Hold on,
speak now?
sis. Before you do, sis, because I really want to hear what you have to say, but I don't
Ma-
want it to get lost in the back and forth. Let him finish his
Okay, thank
point,
you.
and then I really want to hear what both of you in particular have
I'm
to say.
just yes, I am just trying to point out to this
All right.
brother
Can you
that
just iron
he's
out what you want, where you want to just iron that out. What did you
I'll
exactly?
make
What's
it
your
very.
point of contention?
Thank you.
What's your point of
I disagree.
contention?
Okay, I totally respect in a lot of the research that you have done about Sierra Leone and some of the historical events that you mentioned. Okay, but there's few things that I disagree with. That we in
On what
West
basic
Africa
though?
we weren't okay. That we in West Africa we weren't documenting history. We weren't writing our history. It wasn't written down. And those people that wrote those histories in Timbuktu were Arabs. I disagree with that totally. Okay,
Okay,
that's
so
number
on what
one. Number
basic now?
two, no, hold on.
Before wait. Don't
On a
just say
factual
I
basic,
disagree. I disagree.
on a
Okay.
factual basis, if you go to any
Okay.
Mandinka, a Fulani,
Name
or a
one scholar. Name
Soninke,
one scholar
can
that
I
agree
finish?
with you. Can you give me a
No, no,
scholar,
no, no.
please? I don't want you to just come in
You
and shut the
don't.
whole thing down
Do
and
you
say I
think? Do you think
disagree.
African? Do you think
Hold
African
on, bro.
history
You
is
went a
actually based
long
on what?
time, and I am really curious
Exactly.
to what he's gonna say. I do
Thank
want to hear what
you.
he's going.
Do you
So let
think
him go.
African history is based on the white man approval of what this white
Bro, that
scholars
had
are
nothing to
thinking
do with
about?
color skin, though. That had
Do
nothing to
you
do
know?
with
No,
color
but I'm just
skin.
saying,
That had nothing
Let
to
the
him
do with
West
color
go,
skin.
bro.
or
Let
what
him
the
go.
Western. See, you're an idiot. Now, all of a sudden, you actually were saying I was interrupting you, and I haven't even started speaking. Now you're trying to interrupt me,
Okay, go ahead.
and
Go
that's
ahead.
unfair. Okay, so you said African. You were trying to say that in West Africa, the black people, this history that you mentioned just now, it wasn't written down. Okay, it was just oral. And I'm telling you that before transatlantic slave trade, okay, the West African already started writing their history and they're writing their stuff, and they still do. Okay, they do. They would not all of them were Muslims, but when they adopted to different languages and different written skills from
They
Bro, I
the
heard you
adopted
Arabs
talking
like
those
about this.
trade
skills.
doing.
They
I heard you
adopted
talking
those
about this
Okay,
skills.
fantasy.
and
Hold
Hey,
on.
Hold
hey,
on.
hey,
I already heard you.
guy,
yeah,
I
exactly.
already heard you.
I gotta close out soon. I'm gonna let V talk, and then
Oh
I gotta close
man.
out. Go ahead,
Thank you,
V. We
Dennis.
gotta close out.
Okay, and also with the Limba tribe. The
Hold on,
Limba
whoa.
tribe are the native.
Hold the guy. I gotta pass it to V. We're closing out. Go ahead, V.
Yeah,
V.
Thank you, Dennis.
I was going to say to the gentleman that spoke extensively about the West African, particularly Sierra Leone, please, you need to don't dismiss the oral part of our history. It's very fundamental because the oral history wasn't just told by the griots. It was also, if you go to every chief's house or in an elder within a community, many of them hold history. It could be a
They
woman
understood
or a
that
man.
history. Yeah.
Secondly, A lot of the histories that you're talking about, the Mali Empire and the Ghana Empire, they were people who have learned Arabic, and many of them were Africans. They were not just Arabs. And regarding the Europeans that you've been citing a lot, they sometimes even some of the historical event was missed in translation to them. They came in, they listened to the locals, they got most of their information from the locals. They didn't just come in and did any extensive research and wrote this down. It is what the locals told them. Often, some of them were also mistranslated because the language was obviously difficult. Their language was new to us. Okay, and lastly, even the European history, you said some of it after 600 years becomes unreliable, but some of these even European historians, they were written about 700 years after the event. So you can't say that our oral history is not important. So that's all I want to say about that.
I
so
get
please,
her point.
All right, so let me close out on this one. Let me close out on this one because I always come across individuals who not really, you're in the field of history. Stay in your lane. If you're not a historian,
no, you can't say that. No, when it comes to
stay in your lane. One second.
Has been twisted
can you please,
guys, we gotta close it out.
Can I have it in the,
we gotta close it out. Peace.
Danfo offers unparalleled, curated and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.